A call to order the meeting on March 9th of the Eastham Select Board. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over Local Access Channel 8 and through the town website at www.eastham-ma.gov. All right, so I have to start with a joke just for Jackie. So why did the employee of the calendar company get fired? Because he took a day off. All right, that's for you to send to your daughter, Adam. All right. All right. Is there anything that the board would like to bring up that's not on the agenda? Anyone have anything? Bob, do you have anything?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anyone else? I guess Scott, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Jerry. A couple of things. I just wanted to, we're starting to do a couple months out from town meeting, so I wanted to kind of put my moderator hat on for a second and just encourage my fellow citizens to start asking questions. There's going to be some complicated articles on the warrant. They're based around zoning and planning, and I think it's important to try to get a handle on those ahead of time so you can formulate your questions and get to various committees over the next couple months. Because I think it will be a lot to try to grasp in the middle of the meeting on early May. So just a kind of a heads up for that. Second thing is just reminding anyone listening at home, we are definitely looking for volunteers from the search committee. The moderator has an open appointment on the search committee. So anybody who is interested in that should reach out to the search committee or myself, or I'm happy to try to fill that appointment. So and then as just a sort of like a public service thing, and my other hat is just to kind of say that this coming Saturday, I don't know if you folks are aware, but there is a ribbon cutting at the high school. And I know as both Adam and I are parents of children that have gone through the high school or are currently there, as well as myself and some of the board have also gone to the high school. The project did come out unbelievable, and I know there was a lot of work from a lot of different committees over time, and a lot of work of the contractor, so on and so forth, and school committee and so on and so forth. But it's a beautiful facility, and I know that I imagine 16, 17-year-olds don't pick up the phone and just call random fellow citizens to tell them how appreciative they are that their tax dollars went to it. But I do feel that the school is doing a great job and we're on a good track. And so I just wanted to let people know that that is on Saturday if you have an opportunity.
What time is that, Scott?
I believe, and don't quote me, I believe it starts around 1:00.
Thank you.
Where would we find that information to quote?
That's a great question. I imagine I can get that information
Yes.
to Jackie if she doesn't have it, and get.
We
got an email at some point.
There's an email out there. Okay. So if anyone is looking for it, I'm sure we can get an email to the town hall and we can get them that information. Just kind of.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you. Someone else? I saw anyone else? Sir?
Items not on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda. Yeah.
Great.
You can sit right there to make sure the green light's on and pull it close to you and state your name and your address. And then you have the floor for 2 or 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Kevin Eastman, 30 Chipman Street. I want to thank Jackie and John for renewed interest.
You mind speaking closer?
Right,
I
sure.
can't hear you where I'm.
Sure. Kevin Eastman, 30 Chipman Street. I wanted to thank Jackie and John for renewed interest in concerns I brought to the select board 2 years ago after a project at the elementary school. We're coming up on 3 years ago. So I wanted to extend an offer for a site visit. So anybody who hasn't seen it, so that when they speak on it, they're speaking about something they've seen. And yeah, that's it. I wanted to invite more, and again, thank Jackie and John. And I know Rich has now been introduced to the situation, and I Also, it's a private road, so if anybody is planning to go take a look, please respect that fact. And again, thank you all for what you do. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, a storm update from our chief of police.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. I'll be as quick as I can. I know you have a lot going on tonight.
Maybe turn the other one off.
And also actually get closer to it, not further away. Sorry. Yes, thanks.
All right. As you all know, this blizzard was a very large and impactful storm for us. We've certainly had storms with more snow. We've had storms with stronger wind, but this one kind of put it all together in a very short amount of time in a package from about 4:30 in the morning on that Monday, 2 weeks ago now, I guess, until about 2 or 2:30 that afternoon when it started to kind of ease off a little bit. Plowing and treating the roads became kind of challenging because there were so many trees down that the plow routes, the plow drivers couldn't kind of complete their routes all the way through. Eastham Police and Fire and DPW responded to over 100 reports of trees and wires down throughout the whole town. We also transported 80 to 100 people either to the shelter or to warming centers or to other residences in town to keep them safe and warm during the storm. At the conclusion of the main part of the storm, Eastham was 100% without power. I'm not sure I've ever seen that in my career. I've seen it pretty bad, but I don't know that I've ever seen 100%. So that was for almost 2 complete days before little pieces of it started coming back, and then we got the big chunk back on Thursday. Sheltering, we opened the shelter at Nauset High School preemptively before the storm on Sunday afternoon. I think that night there were about 5 or 6 guests there that opted to go into the shelter before the storm. At the height of the storm, there were about 60 people at the shelter at Nauset High School. We did have some heating issues at the school, which have now been rectified, so hopefully for the next storm it'll be a little bit smoother sailing. But we ended up transferring the guests we had at our shelter either to residences where they could be warm and safe or to the shelter at DY in some cases. We also opened 2 warming centers in Eastham. Our library is our primary warming center. We opened that on Wednesday, I believe it was. The days kind of all ran together. And we quickly filled that up and spilled over to the Council on Aging. We used 2 warming centers because we had such a need for it. There were probably 80 or 90 guests at a time kind of cycling through the 2 different facilities. So there was quite a need for the warming centers during the storm, and they were used quite heavily. At this point, what we're still working on, police and fire operations are obviously pretty much back to normal at this point. The DPW is still working hard. I talked to John today before I came over here, and they have a lot of cleanup left to do. Chipping trees and branches. If you drive around town, you see all the debris on the sides of the road. So they're going to be working hard on that going forward. We're also working with MEMA right now to do a damage and cost assessment. Regionally, if we meet a certain threshold for expenditures during the storm, we may qualify for some reimbursement through FEMA. So we're working with our local MEMA rep on that. We've already submitted our information, and we'll hear back, I guess, in the coming days about if the Barnstable County qualifies for that or not. And then I guess also in these situations, it's always a great opportunity to take some time to think about how we responded to the storm. What can we do better? Do we need different equipment or different planning or different policies? I think overall the response went pretty well, but there's always an opportunity to look at things and try to do better. I want to thank a whole bunch of people real quick for their help during this storm. And I'm going to do this quickly because I could talk till tomorrow with thank yous. We stress all the time that police, fire, and DPW obviously are our first responders. We're the initial response for emergencies, but we can't do what we do without other town staff as well as volunteers in our community. And this storm really showed us all of that coming together. Couple small examples. We opened the warming center at the library, and I had some people texting me throughout the week, volunteering, people that honestly I forgot I was friends with, offering help. And Melanie at the library said, actually, we're kind of good. We've got staff here. We could take a volunteer or 2, but we can cover it. Same thing at the Council on Aging. You know, they brought their staff in. They were cooking food. They were keeping people comfortable, playing board games in the basement. And it was just great to see that all come together. The IT department, we had a couple of IT snags in the middle of the storm. Sharice was on vacation. She was logged in remotely trying to help us. Chris came on site. Actually, Rich came over and tried to help diagnose some phone problems during the storm. So it was good to see all that come together. Kayla, the communications coordinator, came over towards the end of the week and helped put together some messaging to get out to the public. When I was at the point where I was so tired, I was looking cross-eyed at the computer. She was a big help to kind of push that through. Our health department volunteered to help. Nauset High School, the janitorial staff was amazing, trying to troubleshoot the heating issues and just helping us with whatever we needed. The cafeteria staff, they came in on short notice, opened up their kitchen, opened up the freezer, started cooking burgers and egg sandwiches for everybody, whatever they could do. That was absolutely amazing. The IT staff at the high school, they were able to create a quick public Wi-Fi network for us to use and for the guests to use. Volunteers, our CERT team, our community emergency response team, which Amy is part of. They're a small but mighty group, and they stepped
Three
up.
of us.
They stepped up to manage our shelter in the 2 days that we had it open, and would have longer than that if it had stayed open. And that's not just sitting there and managing. That's setting up. That's troubleshooting problems that come up, tearing everything down at the end. So thank you, Amy, and the CERT team for that. The Eastham Dog Owners Association provided volunteers to help with sheltered animals, which we had quite a few of there as well. We had several community volunteers at the warming centers that volunteered to come in. The Family Table Collaborative provided food for our shelter. That's always a challenge when we're sheltering people, is food. Can we get food here? Can people drive on the roads to get the food here? Who's making the food? Who's serving the food? They stepped up and provided, honestly, more food than we knew what to do with. Everybody was fed. We continued that into our warming centers, which we don't always do at warming centers, but we were able to, so we offered that service. And I think that helped people a lot. I won't list them all, but many local businesses stepped up and offered assistance when they were closed in emergency situations to provide us with equipment we needed or food that we needed. I guess to sum it up, it was pretty cool to see the town of Eastham come together in a really tough situation. And there were some communities out there that were looking for help from the National Guard, from MEMA, from other places. And every time I got the question on one of the conference calls, what do you need? My answer was really nothing. I mean, we're doing it on our own, and we're doing it because people care, people step up, they come together, and they take care of the Eastham residents. So, that pretty much sums it up. Like I said, if I started to thank everybody that helped, I could be here till tomorrow. But thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank the first responders. Look at what happened in Eastham on the storm. The response makes me proud to be a resident of this town. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may. Yes.
I have two questions, actually. One, I was wondering, what happens to our town water when we have 100% no power? Do people still have water?
Yes, and
That was my assumption, but then someone was like, what, how? And I was like, I'm going to ask.
yes, there's
Raiders.
Generators.
there's generators that run on propane, and that actually started to become an issue. The propane started to get low, and we were making plans to have propane brought in, and we were able to get the power back. We designated those I don't know the technical terms, but the pumping stations or whatever it is, as a priority for power, and we were able to get the power back there before the propane ran out.
Awesome. And then also, does the Eastham CERT need more volunteers?
Absolutely.
Always.
Yeah, I think we have about 8 currently, and yeah, we're definitely looking for more. So we could run shifts and things
How
like that.
does one join, Amy?
Well, I
of
actually I do
training.
have a little card.
It's
with a
training,
QR
I know,
code.
yeah.
You can contact the police department non-emergency line, and
Send me an
they'll,
email.
So
send an
Okay.
email.
send an
We have
email to
little
the chief.
cards around town with the CERT, logo on it on the back, QR code, how to sign
All right.
up and help. So
Good.
here's Suzanne.
Anything else for Adam?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Adam.
Appreciate it. Well, the next thing printed on the agenda is the public hearing, but we announced that would be at 6 o'clock. So we're going to shift a little bit on the agenda to see if we can get closer to 6. And I think the next thing that probably can go fairly quickly is go down to administrative matters III, the vote on the town manager's the new town manager's contract.
Ooh.
All right, I think if you want some copy of it, it's here. We did, you guys, we know what it is. Okay,
It was in last week's packet.
yes.
Yeah.
Was it part of our executive session packet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we need to add it?
No.
No, we have it here. It's before us and it's a it'll be public
Public
record.
document.
Public document. It's a, it's a contract for 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years, because it'll start the day after Jackie retires, which we understand will be before July 1. So the first year will be ending June 30th, 2027, and it will start somewhere in June before July 1, 2026. But then we'll go until June 30th, 2029. And it sets out, it basically, the requirements, the job description and so forth remain exactly the same as it was for our current town manager. It has pay, his pay is established with a 3-year, 3% increase every year after that, which is below what everyone else, what all other town managers are seeing in contracts. And we've done some deferred compensation, but it all comes together looking at what it is. And Rich wants the same benefit package that town employees receive. And so that's outlined in the contract as well. Anybody have any questions they want to ask? Bob's not there.
There he is.
I'm here.
Oh, he's there. You have any
He's-
questions, Bob, on the contract?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the contract for Rich Bienvenu to be for the town manager beginning immediately after Jackie retires?
So moved.
Second.
A second, any further discussion? We have to all, can't do all in favor. Vote, Bob,
Yes,
Amy,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Suzanne.
Yes.
And Jerry is a yes. Congratulations, Rick. Rich, we've got you hooked up now for 3 years.
All before the end of March. That was a goal.
All right. Okay, we still have some time. Let's see what we have. How about how long's your budget update, Rich?
Sorry.
I could summarize it quickly, but you might have some discussion, so I don't.
Discussion, well, we can summarize it and we can go to discussion after, I guess. We might as well use up the 15 minutes because we promised 6 o'clock. We're not going to go before.
Well, in the packet, after all these materials, let me see.
Update.
I had sent out a write-up, a couple-page summary, 3-page summary of all the various components of the budget, where we stand as we head into our budget hearing on March 23rd, where we'll have everything finalized. But I want to kind of give you an update as to how it's looking. And I broke it down into 3 areas, 3 real, or maybe more, 4 areas, starting with the base budget, the effect of collective bargaining on that base budget, the impact of schools on the budget, and then how a residential tax exemption impacts that. So let me go through that real quick. And we actually did get some good news late this afternoon, about 4:30, 4:45. So I have some updates. So some of these results are better than what we're looking at currently in this write-up. So all that will
always
be-
good news.
It's a good news.
Those are good. That's
all
good.
that will be a part and parcel of the budget hearing for the 23rd. I'll have it all finalized then. But as it indicates in the memo, the town operating budget in total is up just under $950,000, which is a little over 2%. However, that includes a reduction of $613,000 for the elementary school debt service and a little bit of other debt service that dropped off. So the operating budget, honestly, if you take that out and add it back, the operating budget other than the debt service is up $1,561,000, which is about a 4.2% increase. And as we've talked about, Eastham is heavily reliant on the residential property tax. We're about 97%, or no, 88% funded by our property tax, of which 97% or 98% almost is residential. And so our property tax limits are able to go up 2.5% a year, plus what's called new growth. So for talking purposes, about 3% each year. And so we had three areas that went up quite a bit more than 3%. Our transfer station costs for hauling disposal, health insurance, and pension assessments. And so those three things alone go up to such an extent that our revenue doesn't keep pace with our overall expenses. All our other line items, we were able to manage within those confines of 3%. But those three alone put us not fully funded. And so we need about $755,000 of an override to maintain and recommend this level services budget. That increases, including the override, would be an increase of about $239, 4.1%, on the median valued home, which means a total with just that base budget would be $5,879. And I want to be clear, this is a level service budget. There are no new positions in this budget. There are no new programs or enhancements to programs in this budget. And we did review with the Finance Committee, and we're still wrapping up our work, but pretty carefully by department, individual line items to look for opportunities to reduce the budget where it's possible. And you don't see a lot of reductions because, as we talked about with the Finance Committee, every line item in this budget is needed. You know, we might argue about the amount might be too much or too little, but they're all there for a reason. And so you don't see a lot of cuts or reductions in lines, but what you don't see is things that we didn't add. So I have a list of things that aren't in here. We're looking to increase the property tax funding to our capital plan by $200,000. That is not in the budget. We were looking to make about $175,000 in service enhancements, which would be our preschool program, which is has a lot of demand, and online permitting, expanding it to some more departments. That $175,000 is not in the budget. We did not include about $132,000 in the police department budget for dispatch services or a taser lease, because currently for the next couple of years, they're funded by a grant, but we know we're going to have to add those at some point, but not included in this budget. We had about $256,000 of departmental requests for their department expense budgets, and those are not included in the budget. And we also have a list of, and we would never add these all in one year anyway, but our total list of staffing requests at this point is about several positions, including public safety, totaling about $800,000, and with benefits, that would be about $1.1 million. None of those no new positions are included in the budget. So that's the base budget, about a 4.1% increase in the property tax to the median valued home, or $239. As you know, we had an executive session recently to wrap up our collective bargaining where we updated you, and the cost of employment and hiring people is gone up quite a bit, much faster than the 3% our revenue grows. And so to fund our 3-year agreements that we've settled, total 3-year cost is about $1,575,000, of which $1.1 million will need to be funded in this year's budget. And that's going to be a separate article on the warrant, asking voters to ratify those agreements and to provide the funding over the 3-year period. And will become a Proposition 2.5 question on the ballot. So if you add that, that by itself adds $156 to the median valued home property tax, which brings the total increase to $395, or 6.8%. Then finally, we have school budgets, and this is where the good news came in. I might have been overzealous in some of my calculations on our enrollment shift. I'm going to tell you what I have here, but I'm hopeful that this was kind of the worst case scenario. We're expecting about a $1.6 million between the elementary and the Nauset district, but it looks like it's going to come in somewhere about 1 to 1.1 million. We'll know that in the next week or so. And so that's a benefit. But what I have here in the write-up that I did for you was some amount for enrollment shift, some amount increased for special education costs that have skyrocketed that we're required by law to provide those services. And so that $1.6 million for schools would have added that alone another $232 to the median valued home, making the total increase $627 for those three items. So
It's a 13.
roughly every $100,000 is worth about $15. So if we take off, if we're at say 1.1 million instead of the 1.6, that's $90 lower than what I've told you, which would put us about 9.5% total increase. And then for your, you adopted the residential tax exemption last year with a potential strategy for phasing it in slowly. And just for informational purposes, it's a little difficult to isolate this because it's based on who is enrolled with the program. Right now, we have about 1,500 people, which is about 26% of eligible properties. And we thought it might be upwards of 45% of eligible properties. So did not everybody that can participate because they didn't think it was that big of a deal. And maybe if it's more would. But at the current level of participation, every 1% change in the RTE results in a tax savings or cost about $52 to a residential property. And at a cost of about $15 to the non-resident.
A savings of $52 to a resident who is part of
The RTE.
the RTE, and a $15 increase to non-residents and residents who have not are not eligible or haven't applied.
Correct.
That's for every 1%.
For everyone, yeah.
So we're at 3. So theoretically, a 15% RTE could offset the tax impact for the year-round resident.
That sounds about right, yeah. And that brings you exactly to just about 6 o'clock, Jerry.
Yes,
Well done.
very good. I appreciate it. Although the clock says 5, it really is 6. Sorry. Okay. I will now reopen the dangerous dog hearing originally scheduled for March 2nd. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, Section 517, the Select Board is conducting a dangerous dog hearing as a result of written reports by the Eastham Animal Control Officer regarding nuisance or dangerous dog incidents involving the dog known as Zook, owned by Mary Ellen Kelly of 80 Linda Lane in Eastham. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether Zook is a dangerous or nuisance dog, and if so, what, if any, action should be taken by the Select Board. I'll explain briefly the rules of this hearing. This is something that is prescribed by law, so we are going to go through the proper steps so we do it correctly and not run afoul of Massachusetts general laws. The hearing will be conducted with the following rules. All persons who give testimony or wish to speak must be recognized by the chair, by me, and duly sworn. Once recognized, we ask people to please give their name and address. And during all testimony, I request that all parties speak directly to the Select Board, not to someone else. And no party should speak unless I've called upon them to speak, with one exception. If I recognize someone from the Select Board to ask questions, you may answer the question without having me say, yes, you may answer the question. All right? At no time during the hearing will any outbursts or disruptions be allowed, and it's expected that all parties, everyone here will act appropriately. Anyone who refuses to follow the directions of the chair will be excluded from speaking for the remainder of the proceeding. Any person wishing to speak should sign in with Erica right there. Raise your hand, Erica, if you would. Okay. The administrative assistant. So we have a clear record of who has testified. Now, the hearing will be conducted in the following order. Individuals who plan to give testimony will be sworn in. The animal control officer and/or police, whoever is going to speak, I think it's the animal control officer, regarding the behavior of the dog, will make a statement. Then I will allow any witnesses or victims to give testimony or make statements.
You missed one.
I missed it, excuse me. I will allow Mary Ellen or the dog owner or her representative to make a statement. Please forgive me for misstating that. And then I'll have other witnesses who wish to speak be allowed to speak. We will give you a time limit on that. And Suzanne here will be my trusty timekeeper. And she can she'll raise her hand when you have 30 seconds left in your time. Now, some people don't want that to happen, and you just say that at the start and she will not raise her hand. She's pretty good at that. After we've heard from all those witnesses, I will give the animal control officer an opportunity to make a further statement, and then give the dog owner or her representative an opportunity to respond. After everyone has had an opportunity to be heard, I'll close the public hearing and allow the board to ask questions, and then we will deliberate and make our decision. It's my view that I think that the best way to go forward is to allow the board to ask each witness at the time a question when the witness has completed, so that we can have it right in our minds and go forward. We are here, remember, we are here for a dangerous dog hearing for the dog named Zook. Zook. So, please forgive me, Zook. It's all right. For Zook. And that's all. And we're here to learn facts. And I know these are difficult times and can be emotional times, but we have to learn the facts and make our decision upon those facts, only dealing with Zook. At this time, anyone who wishes to speak, would you please stand up, and we'll raise your right hand, and I will swear you in. Okay, we ready? Right hand, yes. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth under the pains and penalties of surgery? In each one of you, perjury, not surgery, excuse me. It's not a doctor, perjury.
We won't
I won't, I have no scalpels up here. So just, if you would, please say yes, if you agree. Do? Okay, you are all sworn in. Thank you very much.
One question, which is that my hearing aids are gone. So I really need people to use this so I can.
Right, we want to I will make sure people use the mics.
I couldn't hear what was going on before.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Mr.
All right.
Chairman, I just want to let you know that there is one person online that wishes to speak. And so,
Yes, for a person who is online, we will do everyone who's here, then I will go online and I will swear that individual in at that time. All right?
And how much time do people have for their comment?
How
How much time do people have for their comment?
Right, yes. I will give the animal control officer with 5 minutes, and Ms. Kelly will have 5 minutes, and others, I would hope we could do it in 2 minutes. Each person, so that we can,
Victim.
Hmm?
The victims.
oh, the victim, shoot, that's right. The victims will also have 5 minutes, and other witnesses will have 2. So that's how we'll do it. Do you have a list? We're ready. So we will start with animal control officer or police, whichever.
Emily.
Emily, please come up. Now, if you're going to stand there, you can sit if you're more, whatever you want, but make sure you speak. Get your mouth, be a diva, right close to the mic so that we can all hear. Okay, make sure the green light's on and put it right close to your mouth.
Hi, I'll start with a summary of all the incidents involving Zook, and then I can go further into.
Could you just state your name and
Oh,
who
yes,
you are? You don't have to give the address, just state your name and
Yes.
who you are.
My name is Emily Dykstra, and I'm the Eastham ACO.
I don't know if she physically can.
Yeah.
She is very close to the mic. Yeah.
Maybe she can, Mary Ellen, can you sit closer? Try sitting right there. I promise, Emily's a nice person. She's not going to do anything to you.
It's the standing mic.
I feel badly.
I don't know if that one's better.
I don't know. Sometimes.
Just-
Right. It's okay. You're fine.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, good. That one works too.
Should I go over there?
Yeah, try that.
Try that. See if that's louder.
Is this better? Oh, okay.
Speak with a forceful voice. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay.
Everyone, please do that because Mary Ellen has trouble hearing. Go ahead.
Yes, I'll try my hardest.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to start with the summary of all the incidents involving Zook, and then all of my reports are attached in Appendix A, and I can go further into detail on those if the board would like. Since November 2025, there is a history of loose dog calls involving Zook, who belongs to Mary Ellen Kelly of 80 Linda Lane. Eastham police officers, or I, have had many interactions with Zook and Miss Kelly. Often when Zook is loose, he still has a leash attached to his collar. Miss Kelly has told me that she can struggle to control Zook when he pulls. This has happened frequently because Zook is a rescue and can be reactive towards other dogs. Miss Kelly has told me that she has been working with Zook's behavior, but there has still been repeated incidents involving Zook. Until January 22nd, 2026, all the reported incidents involving Zook did not result in any injury. While loose on January 22nd, Zook attacked a neighbor's dog. The dog was a small Chihuahua named Suki. The owner, Miss Hanlon, was able to get Suki away from Zook and run inside her home. Zook followed them to the door before eventually running away. Suki sustained injuries and required veterinary care. As a result of the incident, I issued a $50 citation for a violation of Eastham Bylaw 17-9A, leashing, restraining, and waste removal. That citation was paid March 2nd. On January 27th, 2026, there were other incidents resulting from Zook being loose. Zook got into a neighbor's yard and attacked their ducks. This yard was fenced in with only a small opening because of the snow. Zook attacked 3 ducks in total. 1 was found dead, 1 was left paralyzed and had to be euthanized, and 1 has not been found. Zook was seen running around the neighborhood with that duck in its mouth. When Officer D'Angelo was talking with the duck's owner, Zook tried to get back into the yard. During the period that Zook was loose, he also got into an altercation with a different neighbor's dog. Injury to either of those dogs were not reported. As a result of another incident, I issued a $100 citation for the second offense of violation Eastham Bylaw 17-9A, leashing, restraining, and waste removal. That citation was paid on March 2nd. While there is an extensive call history, the residents of Linda Lane and Gigi Lane have told me that there have been other times Zook has been loose and there have been other altercations with other dogs. Not every incident has been reported to the police or myself, as they did not want anyone to get in trouble. After the 2 attacks resulting in injury, they now fear for the safety of other dogs, animals, and children in the neighborhood. The table below describes the call history, dates, short descriptions, and enforcement actions. Please refer to Appendix A for call logs and associated reports.
Right. Emily, do you have any, what's your recommendation? Could you please?
I don't think it's time.
It's not time? Okay. All right.
Sorry.
We're okay.
Wayne's gonna
He's going to go to assisted.
hearing thing for so.
Okay, we're trying to get assisted hearing for you, Emma.
I had read her report, so I know what was written. And I, so
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried, but
Thank you,
Okay.
Suzanne.
Anyone have
Yeah.
questions?
Thank you.
But-
I'm embarrassed about it. but
Right.
that's-
Does anyone have any questions for Emily? None? Okay, Marielle,
Can you hear me?
yes.
Totally.
Mary Ellen, you have the floor for 5 minutes to make a. Oh, you have a question? Go,
Yeah.
yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jamie.
Okay. I just didn't know when to ask it, but this might be the moment. Emily, do you know how Zook came to be at this house? Like what adoption agency?
I was told by Miss Kelly that she got the dog through another ACO.
Another ACO?
What?
Yes.
What was that?
How did you come to get the dog?
Yeah, hold on. What's that? Well, we'll ask that. Okay.
Okay. We can answer that later.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you know. Thank you.
Right. Ms. Kelly, you have the floor
I'll be.
for Emily, you're good for 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm crazy, all right? And I try to speak loudly. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, people do that is because they think that you can't hear when it's really them. Anyway, just hold on a second. Don't count me time yet, please. You can't, am I not doing it? Oh, okay. We're gonna do it, okay. Okay. I don't want to waste your time. But I wanted to say that, first of all, where is that? It's here. Okay. I got Zook end of October, of this past year. And all I wanted to say about that was that I adopted him from Randolph. He was younger than, the records say, because we found he was born in, July 2024. I met with the dog. I met with the dog officer. He was friendly, playful, cute, and lively personality. And his history is only that he had one death. His owner died, and he was in the property with the owner for some time. And he was in the custody of the vet hospital in Randolph, where he has been for basically 2 months. Anyway, that's what I did. He was treated for fungal infections, got attention, and then I guess the last thing I wanted to say is he was put on medication for anxiety and trauma. Please go forward. I hate this. Okay. And I have information on the drugs, but they were drugs for anxiety and depression, I guess. He's had little socialization with other dogs. And I can give you details on the prescription, but I don't want to do that. The issues to me were difficulty with the leash, walking, jumping on visitors, control, and I was suggesting control with commands and positive reinforcements where I ended up. But initially, the trainer I had was saying, restrain him, do this, that, and the other thing, and none of those things really worked. Okay, I won't go into the details on the incidents, just to say this. That I put up, I'm doing this badly, but I put up had put up a fence that was basically an enclosed area in back. I wanted to do the entire yard, but could not. So I had a smaller area, but it was easily accessible to me and to other people. And I believe that you have pictures of that. And in particular, I wanted to point out two things, which is that there is an overhang that was there before, which provides shelter both for you and for whoever was out there. There is a brick patio, which is where the gate that the dog would have to go out through. The only other way is going through the house, okay? So that gate the dog could not have gotten out and did not get out through that gate because it's on a brick patio that I made. But so it's not, you can't dig under is my point. Okay, so the incident in January happened because I lost control of the leash. It's not from the enclosure, it's from outside the enclosure. In one case, I thought I was handing off the leash to my dog walker, and instead I dropped it. I won't go into the medical reasons, but it's a problem. Anyway, the second thing was he got out of the collar, and that's when he went at the ducks. Those are the two times, but he has not been out of that control area since, or before, in most of January in any case. So I wanted you to know that. Today, I met with the trainer. This is her letter to you about her assessment of the dog and what we were trying to do. And she was the second trainer I hired, and the reason I'm so glad I found her because she's a real pro. And what I mean by that is she had a whole plan about how things should go. And when she came back this last time, she said, I can see the improvement. And what it was about this business of treating, rewarding, having the dog see you, the owner, as giving him everything as he doesn't, when he's adopted. Okay, I've got 30 seconds left. That is?
45.
45. Okay, well, the only other thing I wanted to say, besides what you just heard, the dog is now able to do head leash, what they call a head halter, and there's a picture of that in there. And also
You have that.
too. That has made an enormous difference. I couldn't believe it when we were walking today, how easy it was. Okay. There are two things that I wanted to say about the incidents. I'm terribly sorry about what happened with the ducks. That was like insane. That was a day we all were dealing with snow. Okay. This incident with the other dog, I thought it was somebody else who my dog had an encounter with. But I want to raise one issue, which is that this is a husky that he can't, I don't know how to explain it. He can't just in and out when he's dealing with people and with other animals. So he had an incident some time ago with a dog, you'll hear from the person, where they basically were dancing around each other. Neither one of them bit each other, were snarled or whatever, but they were doing this kind of not very friendly dance. Okay. I suspect that was what was going on. In terms of the bite, I don't know how serious it was, but I do know that the vet describes it as one wound, not multiple. So if you person wants to clarify that, I would appreciate it. The issue that Megan raised, she made one comment, I think I was there and heard it with the ducks. And one was that she was asked by the police officer, was he unfriendly? Was he hostile to you? And she said, no, he was very friendly.
All right.
No.
Okay.
Two more points and then I quit.
Oh. You're right. You're yeah, I understand.
No,
But let me hear the 2 points. Go ahead,
Well, the 2 points were that he was coming back to me and the police officer was with me rather than back in the yard. She had a clear driveway. It's the only place that was clear. Okay, that's number one. He rolled over on his back like this. No problem with getting a leash on him. Okay.
Okay.
The idea that he's dangerous to people and children, on January 1st, he got away from me and I was coming home and a family with a small toddler, he was going towards them, okay? Neighbor, his name is Ben. No problem. The dog and they were just fine.
Okay, well,
Okay, so I just wanted to make clear, he's not
Thank you.
hostile, aggressive, angry dog.
all right, thank you,
That's it. Oh, you?
thank you.
No,
Oh, that's the letter back. We all have a copy of the letter
I'm
from
talking.
the dog trainer. We have a copy. We've made copies. We have the copy of the letter from the
Excellent.
dog trainer. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next, see the victims, dog owner, Mr. Bailey. Is Jonathan Bailey here? Please come up and state your name and your address, and you have I'll give you 5 minutes to explain if you need that much. Go ahead.
Need that much.
Please speak right in it so Mary Ellen can hear, please.
How's that?
Oh, that's excellent.
All right, good. John Bailey, 115 GG Lane. The first incident was, I would say it was a typical dog interaction. The concerning part was that the dog ripped out of her hands twice. Let me backtrack a minute. The reason the incident started, to be fair, was I let Gracie out every morning, my dog, and she'll run up to the bike path. She has good recall. She comes back, but they happened to be there. So that kind of sparked the incident and got Zook excited. So not all entirely his fault, but the leash being pulled, he was muzzled, so that was fine. But trying to control the situation with keeping my dog from going after her dog and me being in the middle was a little extreme. I was finally able to get Gracie inside. We sat and talked. Zook ran off, and I don't know what happened from there. The second incident wasn't nearly as extreme. I believe it was either right after or right before the incident with my neighbor Celeste and her dog Suki. But I was out shoveling and he came up the driveway. I didn't see it. Gracie turned around and obviously stood her ground, and it was just, Looney Tunes. No one got hurt. Zook ran away. But that's the incident I reported because it was a second that I had and I knew the other incidents were happening. So that's it. No one was hurt. It was just out of control.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Jonathan? Thank you.
I was wondering what,
Go ahead, Suzanne.
Oh, well, yeah, my neighbor had, my neighbor brings up a good point, but I don't know the full extent and he's not here to represent the situation. But my friend who watches Gracie when I'm at work mentioned a strange dog that followed them up to the door. I think it was on leash. Every time I've seen it, he still had the leash. But how much more time do I have? Because I don't need it.
that's great.
Good,
What
Suzanne.
size dog, Gracie?
50.
Okay.
Any other questions? Jonathan, thank you very much.
Thank you, because
Appreciate
she's
it.
out in the car now. I can go now.
All right. We're
Someone asked me if the dogs were coming tonight and I said no.
oh, yeah. I appreciate it. For all of you, look, it can be nervous up here. We're just your neighbors. We're neighbors in Eastham. So take it easy here. Let's see. Next, Celeste. Oh,
On her behalf, I think it would be fair, in my opinion, because I love dogs and I did speak with her on the phone and she does love Zook. I think it would be fair, in my opinion, that she has this new trainer to kind of see what happens and comes to fruition through the new training. Because I haven't seen Zook since.
all right.
So I think that would be fair, in my humble opinion.
Thank you. Celeste Hanlon is please. Just state your name and address and speak. We have 5 minutes, speak right into it so everybody can hear, and I appreciate it.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right.
My name is Celeste Hanlon. I live at 105 GG Lane. I've been a homeowner here for 15 years and I've been full-time for 10. And on January 22nd, around 1:30, I was getting in the car with my dog on my property, and out of the blue, this very large husky dog came and just made a beeline just for straight to my 7.5-pound Chihuahua, and has attacked her, kept attacking her. I tried to put my arms out and say, go. She started hiding under my truck. I finally got her. And after I grabbed the dog, my dog, Zook continued to try to get at her. Like he just didn't stop. And that was really scary. And there was no one on the road but me. John was at work. Most people were at work. I'm screaming at this dog in the middle of a dirt road. And I had to run back into my house with the dog following me, like right on my ass. Excuse my French. I rushed. I called animal control. I called the police. I made a report. I had to take her to the vet. I was leaving the next day for Florida, so I wasn't too happy. Plus, it was right before the snowstorm, and I was trying to get out. I took her to the vet. She had 2 large puncture wounds from the dog's teeth. Yep, 2. I have photos if you'd like to see them. And they had to be washed out. They had to shave the skin. She needed a new rabies vaccine, but she's allergic to that. So she needed a vaccine for Benadryl. They wanted to sedate her because she was so stressed out from the whole situation. They wanted to put in a wick for the drainage while we were going to Florida. It was just all around a terrifying experience, something that, I really felt was just insane. I mean, it was just in the middle of January when you're just trying to get to your car and then this out of the blue happens. And also the leash was attached to the collar, making me realize that probably had broken away from the owner. And as far as I'm concerned, it seems to me from numerous reports and also past dogs that this woman has owned years back is still not.
This is only about.
I know, but
Zook.
still.
Only about Zook.
Still had major issues with major attacks. So that's my 2 cents. I guess the dog should have been under quarantine after being attacked on the 22nd. But as you could see during that week on the 25th or the 27th, the dog had gotten out and had attacked the ducks as well. So those are major, if you ask me. I have photographs. If you want, I could give the
Sure, if you
of the wounds.
you can.
Did we get any in the packet?
I didn't get any in the packet. No.
What?
We would like them. We have not seen them.
Yeah.
Emily, can you get them and we can? Erica, Emily is back over there. I'm a good. Starts with an E at least. I got that.
Wounds. That's what she looks like. Oh, cutie.
Do you happen to also have a report from your vet?
Yes, I do have the vet report that was sent to the police station. As well.
Can we keep these or?
Yes, you can definitely
All
keep
right.
them. Bear with me. I'm looking for it and can't find it.
I have a.
It's okay.
So, yeah, here it is.
Did-
So I don't know the outcome of things like this, but to me, it seems like there's many past histories where this, maybe it's time to get a cat and not a dog or not a large dog because this woman is
Yeah.
unable to control her dog. Thanks.
Hey, do we have any?
Oh, any
Well,
questions? Sorry.
Any questions? Hang on.
I think I can.
Do you have any questions, Suzanne? Maybe.
I have a question.
Bob?
Yeah, are these pictures in what was distributed by Erica? Or are these just,
No, I'm sorry, Bob. We have a few new things that you do not have. One
Right.
is a report from the new animal trainer, the new dog trainer, and one.
right,
And so far, so these are the 2 pieces so far you do not have.
I can
Is-
text him the dog trainer and the.
Yeah, we're going to photograph it and text it to you.
Did you want
that'd be
to?
great. I just would like to have somebody do a quick summary, I guess. we could summarize what was said on the, by the dog, by the vet and by the dog trainer.
Well,
They're
I'm
coming.
sending it to you right now.
Okay,
and for people at home, the
Thanks,
dog
Jamie.
trainer letter in briefly says that Zook is young, energetic, requires training.
All right. What I'll do is after all the testimony is in, Bob, I will read the letter into the record so everybody, including those in the audience and listening, will know what's it, and as well as I'll look at the vet report and look at that.
Yeah, we can just add it to public record.
Yeah.
American Public Record.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd just like to point out too that she's had weeks to reach out to me and apologize or offer any kind of empathy for my dog, and I got nothing. So.
All right. All right.
May I say?
Thank you.
No.
Oh, no.
I didn't know.
No,
Nope.
no. We're set now. The duck owners, I don't know if, Megan's here or Derek's here, which you would come up together. All right. You can sit, make sure the green light's on and each introduce yourselves where you live, and then we'll go on from there. You'll have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
I am Megan DeWeese. We live at 115 Linda, right across from Mary Ellen, basically.
And Derek Deweese, 115 Linda Lane.
All right.
So
Go ahead.
I let her do the talking.
All right.
was a few minutes after I got home from work, about 2:30 p.m. I glanced out the window and I saw Zook was in my duck area. At the time, we had about 18 inches of snow. It was after the first big storm that we had. And a small gate on our deck was stuck open from the depth of the snow. And that's how he came through. We do have a 6-foot fence around our whole yard, and the ducks have their own separate enclosure in the yard. There was a lot of quacking and screaming going on, and he had scared them into their sleeping house. They have a little house that we lock at night that they sleep in, and during the day they come out. So I saw him go into that space. At the time, we had 6 ducks. I ran out. I grabbed a shovel from the deck. My snow shovel was right by the door because I knew Zook's history from various neighbors of him having altercations with other animals and dogs in the neighborhood. I'm yelling. I get down there. I'm yelling, telling him to stop. He's biting them. They're screaming. They're running. I managed to pull 3 out and get them behind me and back out into the yard. And he continued to bite, growl. I started to hit him with the shovel. He did not care. He did not back down. He was not friendly to me. Absolutely not. I don't know where she says that I say that, because I did not say that. I did see her afterwards, yes, but he was not friendly to me. He was very focused on what he was doing. He wasn't that interested in me. He wanted to eat my animals, who are our pets and my children's pets. But nonetheless, I have 1 duck dead. He finally, I think from me yelling at him, grabbed one and took off. So I went after him, but the snow was so deep, I couldn't run through it like a husky, because he's running. He's not taking paths, obviously. He's running through the snow, and he was quickly long gone across the road towards their house. So I went back to my animals, and 1 at that point was dead. 1 was with him, obviously is dead at this stage. We never found her. And the 3rd was paralyzed, which Emily described to you. She was on her back and her whole body was still, and her little head was going all around trying to get up, and I didn't know what to do. I called my husband, who is still at work. He works for the Eastham DPW. And he said, call the police. I'm coming. I called 911 and Officer D'Angelo came, which was wonderful. She was wonderful. But obviously at that point, there wasn't much that we could do. And while I was in the backyard showing her the space, showing her the animals, Zook came back the way that he had left through the opening in that small gate that I described, and was really ignoring us, trying to push around us. We were on the deck and we were trying to block him, and he had his eye on his prize. He wanted to get back there to where my animals live. We've lived there for 7 years. We've had probably about the same amount of time we've had our animals. Work very hard to build safe enclosures from wildlife. I know that that's a fact of life, obviously, when you have animals that live outside, but those are my pets. Our kids are allergic to cats and dogs, so we have our outside pets, and they love them, and we love them, and we hatch them, and it's really special for us. So I feel anyway, my husband got home and he had to euthanize, to put it nicely, our poor paralyzed duck. And my kids, I have 3 children, 2 boys, 7 and 8 years old, and our daughter is 14. She's in middle school, so I leave for work before she does. So she has to take the school bus. She has to walk by Mary Ellen's to the bus stop every day. She is afraid. My 2 sons, 7 and 8 years old, they're still pretty small physically, and they are also afraid. They don't want to play outside unless an adult can be with them, regardless of the fact that we have a beautiful fenced-in space for them that is safe and where they've played for years, but they are now afraid to play outside. They talk about it constantly. What if the dog comes? What if the dog comes? Go ahead, head out. I'm right behind you. No, I'm going to wait for you. What if the dog comes? They're very obsessed. And I fear for if Zook did come into contact with, I know that she has the fence and I respect that, but it's not really to say that he's going to stay contained forever. One, isn't really fair to Zook, but also it only takes a second for him to sneak out around her. It's very easy. And that's what happened that day. That's what she told me happened. He came out of his collar because he chewed it off. That's what she told me. And she clearly can't physically handle a dog of such caliber. He's big and strong and obviously very active and energetic. And she, like Celeste said, a small animal might be a smarter choice because, and there are other young children in the neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions? Bob, anybody? None?
No.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Want to say anything?
Yeah,
Good.
you're
Just want to say
okay.
that this is, changed the way that we live our life on our little piece of property, and
Big time.
that's not really
Big
fair.
time.
Okay.
Like I built the enclosure to keep our animals safe from non-domestic animals, which it has. But now it makes me frustrated because I have to go back and I have to build a bigger, better setup for domestic animals that might be out during the day,
All right.
So that makes me mad.
All right. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you, Megan. Now, is there anyone else? I don't have any other victims. Anyone else like to speak? Go ahead, please come up. We'll give you two minutes. We'll try that and state your name and address, and the floor will be yours.
Hi, I'm Victoria Robinson and I live at 50 Linda Lane. Mary Ellen is my neighbor to one side of my property. I do have 2 cameras set up, one on my driveway and one in my backyard. I have video footage, which I did send to the animal control officer of two separate encounters that my dog had with Zook on separate occasions. One was on November 14th, where Zook was in my yard on a leash attacking my under 1-year-old golden retriever puppy relentlessly. My 16-year-old daughter was home, calls me because I'm at work. She was out in the yard with the dog while this was happening, and she had to act as a human shield to protect our puppy from Zook relentlessly going at my dog. She was terrified. She called me screaming, crying. She was really upset, didn't know how to handle the situation. I said to her to call the police. I wasn't even home to be there for her. That was our first incident. We did call the police after I spoke to Mary Ellen. I calmed down. This was the first of any of the attacks that Zook had had on anyone in the neighborhood. He was brand new. Like Mary Ellen said, she got him at the end of October. And this was November 15th. So within just over 2 weeks of her having the dog, he was already off leash, already running around. And I'm a very dog friendly person, and don't think it's necessarily the dog's fault, but it should be the owner's responsibility to make sure that my animals are safe when they're on my property. The second incident was in my backyard where my puppy was going to the bathroom. And again, I have it on video. These are just two that I have recorded. She was just in the backyard going to the bathroom. Zook again came out of nowhere. This was January 2nd. And Zook again was relentlessly going after my puppy. Fortunately, there were no injuries at either of these incidences. But she was big enough to be able to kind of not fight back, but defend herself and bark and aggressively kind of lunge at the dog in return. But Zook was completely unfazed during both of these instances. And in the first one where my daughter was involved, she had to pick up the dog, bring him back to the house. Eventually, in the video, you could see Mary Ellen very casually walking back over into my yard to put her foot down on the leash that was on the dog and then restrain him, which was my daughter was unable to do both. When my dog is freaking out, her dog's freaking out. She had to pick one or the other, and she went to pull our dog back inside. So just kind of shows you a pattern that this large, it's a Husky Shepherd mix that she has, and it's about 1.5 years. It's a very strong animal and needs really proper dedicated training, a lot of exercise to get rid of some of that energy that it has, and it does not have that ability in the enclosure that it will have to be in and has been in for the last couple months. And I feel for the dog. It's not the dog's fault. It's that it's not getting its basic needs as a Shepherd Husky mix. It's not getting exercise. It's not getting training. I believe the letter from the trainer, Mary Ellen said, was from the second or today or recent. There's no history of like her being consistent with training or keeping up with that. And, you know, I don't wish for the dog to have anything bad come of it, but I think it needs an owner that can take care of it and give it the attention and training and be strong enough physically to control the dog, which she's unable to do. And she's proven that by having it be released on the leash multiple times. She's just not able to physically control the animal. So.
Thank you. Have any questions from anyone? Suzanne?
It's more of, so your experiences did not make it into this particular list that we have in our packet?
It was on one of the phone call records from the police department.
Okay.
But the first one, for some reason, wasn't. I did send a follow-up email to Melanie. I asked for all the records for all the calls on these incidences to be emailed to me, which I did get. My first incident wasn't recorded, but I did forward the portion of the incidents that I had on camera to the animal control, so she would have that for this.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else, Jamie? Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Anyone else wish to speak here? No one? So anyone on, there's a
Hand up.
hand up online. Man, I can't read the name.
I'll promote Aaron Penner to.
Aaron? Yeah, there's a second one. It's Aaron Penner.
Yep.
Okay. Aaron, I need to swear you in.
Sure.
Okay.
Turn her camera.
Can you put your camera on so we can?
See?
Let me see.
You would need to promote her to a panelist.
Right. Just see her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then,
you got it,
then
Rich?
don't, I'm sorry. I thought, yeah.
No?
It's okay.
All right. Okay, Aaron, I assume you have your hand up
Yeah.
and,
Just the little one out. That's
the little hand is, yes, you, virtually you have your hand up. Okay. Do you, swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, subject to pain and, perjury?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, you, please, give you, a couple of minutes. The floor is yours. Please state your name and your address, and then we'll start the timer. Go ahead.
Great. My name is Erin Penner. I actually am bi-coastal. Half the year I live on 80 Thumpertown Road with my grandmother, who's been there since she was a teenager. So that's when this, I must say I'm speaking, just because I feel it's important for the taxpayers and the town officials to know of Mary Ellen's history, because my dog was attacked by her prior dog. So this is not about this.
Aaron,
sorry, we can't do
the
that.
law requires us to hold a dangerous dog hearing, and Mary Ellen, it's not a hearing on Mary Ellen, it's a hearing on Zook. So
we are not.
it has, whatever testimony we have has to be about Zook, because we don't have any authority for anything else.
Okay, so we can't speak about her as a dog owner, even though that's very important to this entire hearing, is her as a dog owner.
But that's correct. The law is very specific, and we whether you agree or disagree with the law, we have to follow the law specifically. So only testimony we can receive is about Zook. That's the only information, the only item that is before us today.
Okay, so before I go, can I just ask you who I contact or what official or whatever, just to give further detail that I think is really pertinent to this entire hearing?
If you can call our animal control officer who spoke at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes,
if it's about a dog if it's about an incident in Eastham with Mary Ellen, you can call our dog officer. If it's about some other incident, the dog officer can probably help you find the person to talk to.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate your understanding. There's another hand up, Suzanne Blake, I think. Can you hear us, Suzanne?
Yeah.
Can we hear you?
Can you hear us?
Can. Okay. I have to swear you in as well. And again, I'll assume you.
She's talking.
Oh.
No, we were trying to find the camera. We can't turn on the camera. Is that right?
It's okay.
It's okay. I'll assume your hand is, well, you virtually, you have your hand up. So
yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I have completely lost my voice. So my husband, Ben, is going to be speaking for us. We both live at 45 Linda Lane, but we'll both need to be sworn in, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Do you, both of you, Suzanne, what's your husband's name?
Ben Mercer.
I'm here. My name's Ben Mercer.
Was it Don?
Ben Mercer and
Ben Mercer. Oh,
Benjamin. Yeah.
America's got it. Okay. Okay. Do you, both of you, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, subject to pain and perjury?
Penalties.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The floor is yours for a couple of minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. My name's Ben. I'll be speaking because I had two encounters with Zook, and it was sometime in late December. We also live in Cambridge, and so we spend time on Linda Lane in Cambridge, and we were down for the week for the holidays. I don't remember the specific date that it was. I want to say it was before Christmas. So maybe the 23rd or the 24th. I was out in the yard with my young son, who's 3, and my dog, Aurora. And I think Mary Ellen actually referenced it in her testimony. Just so you know, since I was there, I was actually a little bit afraid myself because the dog is unresponsive to anything. And if just to go back to Jonathan Bailey's testimony from 115 GG Lane, he made me remember when I'm out there with my dog and my son and Zook comes along, I have 3 beings I need to manage. And it's very difficult. And as I said, Zook doesn't respond to anything. You know, I've thought about this, and obviously it's been cold, it's been snowy. We haven't been down there as much, but I do worry about my son being in the yard and my dog being in the yard this spring and summer. The incidents have been obviously minimal to this point. However, a couple days later, and I should say, the dog ran over at the time because Mary Ellen was walking him at somewhere on her property. I heard a scream and a yell, and she had fallen down, and the dog raced over to us, of course. And I would reiterate what a couple people have already said, which is my observation is that Mary Ellen would not be able to manage this dog. A couple days later, I found the dog out again when I was walking my dog, Aurora. She's a black lab. She's obviously very food motivated. She stays close. I had to bring her inside, and then I walked Zook back to his yard, which actually was quite a struggle. Like he's not docile. He doesn't go easily. I actually had treats with me because I was out with my dog, and it was quite a long walk to go across the street from our yard to Mary Ellen's yard. And I brought him inside and put him in the back porch. Sometime later, I saw the dog out again, and I see her tenant, I think her tenant who lives downstairs, driving around slowly looking for the dog. I helped him get the dog into the car. I asked him what was going on. The dog escaped again. The dog somehow has an ability to open the back door and get out, which is not reassuring. Again, I had treats with me. I was able to help get the dog into the car, but it bit me at the time on my hand. Again, I just don't, I worry about my own dog and my son being out in the yard when I'm doing yard work, or, you know, on the other side of the yard, we have a pretty big yard space at 45 Linda Lane. I think we got to figure something out here, and a fence is not going to do it. For the kind of energy that this dog has, putting the dog in a small and fenced enclosure, which I can see from the street, is just like punching a spring. And as soon as the dog gets out, it's going to be quite energized.
I just want to add something. I like Victoria. I'm a dog person. I think this dog could be a great dog. I just think it's a bit of a wrong match with the owner. We saw the dog pull her down twice. I felt very bad for her. I felt bad for the dog. When the dog came to see us when our son was in the yard, he was muzzled, but he was attempting to nip at our son, and he also herded our dog around the circumference of the yard quite fast. Our dog was trying to get away from him. She couldn't. Again, he didn't bite them because he was muzzled. The muzzle was also irritating him substantially. I could see sores on his face. So I don't know that that's a great solution either. And, you know, she mentioned to us that he had gained a lot of weight since she first got him. And so she was surprised at how strong he had become. Again, I think the dog could be a great dog with the right owner. And I know she really loves dogs too. I just think it's not a great match. And in the neighborhood that we have with young kids and pets, it just hasn't been going well. But I do hope the best outcome for both of them. I hope something good for both of them and for the rest of us in the neighborhood as well.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Suzanne or Ben?
So Ben, did you say that Zook did bite you?
Yes.
And was that reported to the police or animal control officer? It's okay if the answer is no. Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
And were there punctures in the bite?
There was bruising. I wouldn't say that the skin was broken, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to present evidence, testimony to us today? All right, we will go back to Emily. Do you have anything else to add for us? Or anything you'd like to say in response to what's been said by anyone before?
Yeah, when should I make my recommendations now?
Can I ask one quick question too?
Yeah,
Yes.
Linda Lane, but it backs up to the bike trail, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
right. Go
Thank you.
ahead. Emily's on.
All right, before I make my recommendations, I just want to reiterate what you have already done. This hearing is about a dangerous dog. It's about the dog specifically, and it is governed by the Mass General laws, which has the specific recommendations of what can and can't be done. The recommendations are clear. If the dog is deemed dangerous, it has to be from the list of included in the MGLs. And a dog is someone's property. You cannot force someone to get rid of it. So that is not a recommendation. Again, it's about the dog, not the dog owner. So going forward with that, I will read my recommendations. So the first is to deem Zook, owned by Mary Ellen Kelly, a dangerous dog. With that becomes the list of recommendations based on the Mass General laws. 1. The dog owner must install an enclosed outdoor kennel of chain link or similar type fencing approved by the animal control officer upon the premises of 80 Linda Lane. The dog must be confined to the premises of 80 Linda Lane, either securely confined indoors or securely confined by being locked in an enclosed outdoor kennel. The outdoor kennel should have a secure roof and the sides must be embedded into the ground 2 feet or more. The outdoor kennel should have a doghouse or a proper shelter for the dog in compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 174E. There is currently a chain link fence on the premises of 80 Linda Lane. However, the dog owner will need to make modifications to the enclosure to ensure compliance. The modifications to the enclosed outdoor kennel shall be made as soon as possible, but no later than April 6, 2026. The dog owner will allow inspection of the kennel by the animal control officer, building inspector, and/or police department staff during installation, upon completion, and annually and by request. Next, when removed from the premises of 80 Linda Lane, the dog shall securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain or tethering device having a minimum tensile strength of 300 pounds and not exceeding 3 feet in length. If the dog owner fails to comply with dangerous dog orders of the Select Board, a first offense shall be punished with a fine of $500, and a second or subsequent offense shall be punished with a fine of $1,000.
Okay, that's all right. I have my one question is, since we've delayed the hearing a week, would you think we should delay April 6th a week?
Yes, I think I overlooked that and forgot to push that back off a week. So yes, I guess a week later, so 6 weeks. I don't know what's a
Would
week.
be the 13th. All
Yes.
right. Any questions for Emily from anyone?
So
Suzanne, go
you
ahead.
had mentioned the first offense and then the second offense.
Yes.
And I know at some point there is an option to impound the dog
Yes.
with a dangerous dog.
Not until the dangerous dog designation is made.
So if the dangerous dog designation is made,
Then the next time the dog is loose
yeah,
and can be picked up by the ACO or the police and kept indefinitely for a court hearing, basically.
Correct.
in addition to the fine.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And that's automatic with the determination of dangerous dog. That automatically becomes into effect.
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
You'll get your chance, Marielle.
Okay.
And for the public, I suppose, would you tell us a little? Well, okay. We have the option to do a nuisance dog or a dangerous dog.
Yes.
And there's some items in our packet. And I was wondering if you could elaborate on your determination on it being a dangerous dog versus a nuisance dog.
Yeah, I'm recommending a dangerous dog because of the 2 instances where a dog, where Zook attacked another dog, and then also when Zook killed 2 other ducks. This is my first hearing, but was speaking with other people and people from the state. They recommend the dangerous dog hearing and the title of dangerous dog after a dog attacks and kills another animal.
A nuisance dog is more for a barking dog, a dog that is a nuisance to the neighborhood, but not hurting other creatures.
Correct.
Jamie?
Is this board allowed to go beyond the scope of the law in the recommendations, or can we only stay within the parameters set by the determination of dangerous dog?
It says shall, you have to stay within the parameters.
So we cannot do anything unless it is on that list.
That's right.
Bob, did you have anything?
I just have a comment on the letter from the trainer. I know that trainer. We've used her. She's got a great reputation. She's very good, particularly with large dogs. The one thing I noticed in the note in the letter was that she had not observed Zook with other animals, and it seems to me that that's the real problem that we're seeing here. Not just, and that's the criteria for the dangerous dog label, I believe, that we're getting to. So I think it's really not a question for the AOC, but it's really a statement of what I'm seeing from just some of the documentation that we've got about this.
Thank you. Any other questions for Emily? Okay, Mary Ellen,
I guess
you please come up, sit down. It's your turn. You have a chance.
I don't expect you to change your minds. I just want some facts to move.
We haven't made up our minds yet, Mary Ellen. So we're getting facts, and then we'll have a discussion. So go ahead.
There was, number one, all the dogs that you're talking about are without leashes regularly on those streets. That's number one. My dog is never on that unless it gets away from me. That's number one. Number two, the incident with Tori's, I was there. I was not casually doing anything. I was there with her daughter, separating the dogs. I don't know why she doesn't say that. That's a fact. Okay, number one. The other fact is that her dog was not injured at all because the game my dog was playing, which is really not fair to other dogs, is dance, nip, and I think it's wrong, but I'm just saying that. And my dog was wrong in that, but that's what was going on. And I did not know. Ben never told me that he was bit by my dog. That's like news to me, completely news to me. I didn't know who Celeste was until I got a letter from her. Because no one would tell me. Okay, so I had no way to, and I have since found out that Miss Tanner there has been saying really awful things.
Okay, you don't. That's not part of the hearing. We're talking about.
And the dog she's talking about, my dog died.
That's all right, but
Nope,
that's not the dog. Only Zook today, Mary.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, those are the things I just wanted to mention, and that it is hard to control a dog with a leash when there are other dogs running around without one. Just so you know.
Mary Ellen, a couple of just question. Have you done anything with the enclosure in your property since all this transpired?
Well, he never got out of the enclosure. When he was talking about the door, there is a porch attached to, and the enclosure attaches to it. There's a separate door that you go out to. And he did get out there once because he pushed up against the door. And so what I've done, and the trainer and anybody else that's come to the house knows, I locked that door. He can't get out that door. He got out once and that was it. The other place he cannot get out of. Okay. What Emily was describing about it being below ground, that's exactly what they did. The bars along the bottom and the top are there, and there's other, I guess, chain link below the bar that's on the bottom in the ground. He digs holes in the yard there, but he doesn't
do
go to the gate or anything. I'm just, so I don't know what else I could do with the enclosure since it is pretty secure.
Suzanne?
I'm wondering if we have any information about that installation specifically.
That installation that she has now is.
I gave you some pictures.
No,
but I
it's
could-
not, it's not what Emily is recommending.
Yeah, that's
Emily is
correct.
recommending more.
No, I know Emily is recommending more, but I am wondering if the current installation meets, if we have a way to know if the current installation that she has meets the bottom half of that requirement.
I mean, it's
Most likely, yes.
Okay.
2 feet in the ground?
Yeah, like if the people who installed
I think
it.
so.
Yeah, the ABS fence, they did a wonderful job. It just
Okay.
took them
I
until
mean,
January.
if we get to the order part, then the ACO and will have the ability to go and examine the fence.
No, I'm good. Kidding.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The only issue that I raised with what she was recommending, in particular, was that I don't see a doghouse in that area. He's never out there for any length of time, and he's always sleeping inside the house. So the regulation of having a doghouse out there doesn't make much sense to me, given the circumstances and the way the enclosure is designed. He can only come in the house.
Okay, that's a good point. We might ask a question. Jamie?
I think part of the issue, which is unfortunate, that doesn't get dealt with the way the law is written, is a point that someone had made about when you have this dog in this enclosure, it's a spring that's wound up. As soon as it comes out, it's full of, this dog's going to be full of energy and it's going to pull. And that's the real issue. I think the reason the dog house exists, right, is because dogs aren't just sleeping, right? They need to be entertained. They need to be given jobs. They need to do
I know
things.
that.
And so when you have a dog that has things to stimulate its brain and keep it busy, that's part of this.
Yeah.
The reality is I still don't think an enclosure, a better enclosure, fixes this problem at all.
Okay, well, that's
I think
in
it-
dis-
Question.
May
Karen?
I make one remark
Karen?
about
Yeah, what-
dog jumping?
One second, Bob.
Done.
Oh, wait a second. Bob, let me just hear from Bob. Go ahead, Bob.
I just have a question for Mary Ellen. Do you feel you can handle this dog? I mean, on a leash? Do you feel that you can handle him?
I'm hearing buzzing, but I heard your question. What I work with the trainer is to this, it's called a gentle leash leader.
Just a gentle leader.
That we had, my job was to basically get the dog to get used to that over a period of like the past month. And he did. So when we took the dog out yesterday, today, he was on the gentle leader and it was amazing, the difference.
Well, the reason I ask is,
I mean,
one of the reasons I'm asking is because
he was excuse me.
every time we've heard someone talk about the dog running loose, there's a leash attached to him.
Yeah, but the leash was a leash attached to one of those no pull.
Okay, but it just strikes me that you've let go. He's been able to struggle away from you. How much?
He pulls, and
How much does the dog weigh?
Yeah, he pulled away.
How
And,
much does he weigh?
How much does he weigh?
Yeah.
He now weighs 65 pounds. He weighed 50 pounds, less than 50 pounds when he came to me because he was emaciated.
Big dog.
And that's
Okay.
about what his weight should be. I'm told. And
Well, my concern is that the dog could be just too much dog for you at this point.
yeah, I hear that. I hear you saying that. And I don't want to get into, well, I guess I have to.
Gotta close.
I had a car accident 2 years ago and it was hit and my neck was injured. And what I discovered this last month or two is there were weaknesses in, wait a minute, I'll take this off. There were weaknesses in my hands that I went to the doctor about because it was a surprise. Okay, I'm a pretty strong person. I've been doing this for a while. And I was kind of surprised that was happening. What I found out is that I have to have surgery on my neck
Okay,
because there's
all
it
right,
got damaged. Okay.
all right. But that,
And I will either be better or not. And if I'm not better, the dog will not be staying with me. You can count on that.
all right, thank,
I didn't even, I realized something was wrong and I thought it was me, my inability, my age or something, but it wasn't.
right. Okay, Mary Ellen, thank you.
And I didn't even know that it could be fixed.
Thank you, okay. And,
I didn't want to get into that.
right.
That's a fact.
Any other questions for Mary?
I'm sorry?
No, there's no other question.
No,
No, we're done. Any other questions for Mary Ellen? Okay, so I will now close the public hearing and the board will enter into its deliberations in public here. So any question, Amy, go ahead, you may start.
Yeah, I've always said this is probably the worst part about being on this board is these hearings because we are so limited on what we can do. We can't ask her to give up the dog, which, it saddens me because it sounds like this is not a bad dog.
Not.
It just needs somebody. No, ma'am, it's
No, he
not.
can't.
Mary Ellen,
Never mind.
that's it, we're done.
And it just needs someone that can really handle this dog. And it saddens me that we can't do that. And it also saddens me that once we deem this dog dangerous, then its options are limited.
Yeah, you can't.
It can't, ma'am,
There, please,
Sorry.
Mary Ellen, please stop
please
talking.
stop.
it can't go to doggy daycare to be socialized with dogs. There's a lot of limitations put on it once it's deemed a dangerous dog. I feel terrible for your neighbors that are living in fear because you haven't been able to handle this dog. And yeah, like Jamie said, yeah, you're gonna have a secure kennel for it, but then what? Now you've got this dog wound up tightly, and then trying to control it when you take it out. It's a very sad situation. Yeah.
You should
Anyone
know.
else?
There are people who-
No, Mary Ellen, please.
Mary Ellen, you
Janet,
can't
you
talk
speak.
anymore.
We're done.
You're right.
The public hearing is closed.
Sorry. Then I
Um,
can leave. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything else? Suzanne, looks like you do.
We're at the comments part.
Yeah,
and then-
for you, yeah, for us.
So I am very sympathetic to being fearful of dogs. I love dogs and I always want all dogs to love me. But I definitely had an experience that changed that for me. So I understand the fear that comes with being scared of a dog. And then also Zook seems to be young, and part of this letter that we got from the trainer describes a high prey drive, which speaks to his inability to be interrupted in his actions, which seems to be focused at smaller creatures, but that does include children, and that includes puppies, and that includes other dogs, and that includes other animals. And so that's concerning. And so I also share the feeling that possibly with training and the right handling, that this dog could live a normal life without further incident. Huskies are awfully sneaky, and so the putting a top on the outdoor enclosure, I agree with. As
It's 6 feet high.
I do still worry about the issue of the dog getting loose of the owner, and we are limited in what we can do with that. And I share concerns about this escalating because the dog is not currently trained, and I will have some questions about, I know Jamie sort of asked if we could add other requirements, such as training or a dog walker or things of that nature.
Well, we can ask Emily if those things are possible.
I want you to stick to the,
Stay with
Stick
this.
with it. We're not there yet.
yeah,
Right.
we're not there yet.
All right.
So anyway,
Can I,
if you wanted to
jump in for a sec?
Stroud.
Yeah, Bob, you're up, you got the floor.
I apologize if I interrupted. I think we need to decide whether or not the dog is dangerous. And then we need to decide if we want to stray or follow the recommendations
Right.
presented to us. So I'm just
You
going
want
to
to make
weigh
a
in.
motion, Bob?
Well, I just want to weigh in unless I, because I know we're still in kind of a discussion phase. I believe the dog, if you look at the criteria for all this and the pictures, which Jamie kindly texted to me, I think the dog is dangerous. I don't think that's an issue. I think it's a fact. With it wasn't just the Chihuahua puncture wounds that I saw, but also hearing about the attack on the puppy, on the I guess it was a golden retriever. I just think the dog, and we've had this situation in my family, and things have to be done in these situations before something catastrophic happens. The thing that I worry about the most isn't, it's a shame that the dog is going to suffer if we put him in a cage and it's true that the high energy of a husky, so forth, it's just going to break loose. He's going to want to run and want to do everything that any other big dog is going to want to do. But I think the biggest issue is what can happen next. If this dog gets out again, and there's kids in the neighborhood running around, I would hate to think that we had the opportunity to label this dog dangerous and overlook that and something catastrophic happened. That's my big concern.
All right. Jay, did you have something? No?
I mean, I would just be repeating what's being said.
Okay. My put in my 2 cents. The law is pretty specific. And it doesn't give us a lot of options in the sense that on the first decision of whether to deem Zook a dangerous dog, he is if he killed another animal.
Right.
And he did. I mean, I may not love making that decision, but I have to follow what the law says. But it's also, and it's not part of what we have to do, but I want to say this to others. Look, people have to feel safe in their yards. We live in Eastham and we want to have safety. We want people to love and enjoy this town as much as I do. And that's something we have to do. But I think from the point of view of the first point, whether we deem Zook a dangerous dog or not, the state doesn't give us, doesn't help us in some of this. It's either it's clear cut. It's pretty obvious that killed another animal. I mean, and that's right there. That's automatically a dangerous dog. I don't think I don't believe the law gives me any discretion. I mean, I'd love to have a different kind of way to fix it, but I don't think there's any way to not deem Zook a dangerous dog.
Need a motion.
I'd like to make a
Maybe.
motion to deem Zook a dangerous dog.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion?
I just wanted to go over for the public, the choices they have to make are to dismiss the complaint, to deem the dog a nuisance dog, or to deem the dog a dangerous dog.
And we have a motion to deem the dog a dangerous dog. Do we have any further discussion? We'll go to a vote. Bob,
Yes.
Amy,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
and Jerry is an aye. Now, the next step is what do we do?
So
There are lots, we have, Emily has made some recommendations, and I think it'd be worth asking her some questions on her recommendations. Emily, if you could step up again, please. Thank you. Sorry. Your recommendations are to create a kennel which has a roof. We probably think that the fence is fairly secure. I don't know if it's tall enough, but
Yes.
you would decide that.
Okay. Wait,
What,
hold on one second. We have the official vote language. Want to do it?
Unless you want it, I think you should vote yes or no on any of the recommendations that Emily has put before you. Then after that, if you'd like to ask her about adding some, you can do that. I don't know whether she'll be able to answer, but we can always send it to legal if you don't know the answer.
Okay.
So you would like us to go through the recommendations one by,
So it's going to be, I move based on the evidence given at this hearing that the select board find that the dog Zook owned by Mary Ellen Kelly is a dangerous dog.
all right, so, all right, so that's the motion. Do I hear a second on that?
Already done that one. Go to
She wants the.
You want
that
She
language.
wants
have
that
the
language,
Okay,
so
second.
redo.
Sorry.
Okay.
Any further discussion on that specific motion? We'll go through a vote. Bob,
Yes.
Amy,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
and I am yes.
And
Go
then,
ahead.
and then procedurally, Jackie, you want us to do the second vote and read all
If
of
you,
these things?
so
Well,
because you've deemed the dog dangerous, you have to choose among that menu at least one thing anyway. What she's recommending is 3 things. She wants you to order the owner to install this enclosed kennel and keep the dog securely confined.
right,
And then the second recommendation is when the dog is removed from the premises at any time, it has to be humanely muzzled and restrained with a leash or a chain. And then the fourth vote is the offenses.
with a fine of 500 for the first or 1,000 for
And
second.
then I can read this conclusion section once you guys are all done.
All right.
So
So the first is whether we agree with a motion.
Well, let's
With-
make the motion and then we can discuss.
The motion would have to be whether we agree with Emily's recommendation on the kennel, on the closure
Yep.
stuff, yes.
okay, so I move based on the select board's finding that the dog Zook is a dangerous dog to order the owner to install an enclosed outdoor kennel of chain link or of similar type fencing approved by the animal control officer upon premises of 80 Linda Lane. The kennel shall have a secure roof and the sides must be embedded into the ground 2 feet or more. It should have a doghouse or proper shelter inside of the kennel in compliance with MGL Chapter 140, Section 174E. The dog should be securely confined either indoors to the premises of 80 Linda Lane or securely confined in the approved outdoor kennel. If the owner chooses to modify the existing fenced area on the property into a compliant kennel, they should make these improvements as soon as possible, but no later than April 13th, 2026. The dog owner will allow inspection and approval of the kennel by the animal control officer, police officer, or building inspector during, on completion of, annually, and by request. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All right, vote. Bob,
Yes.
Amy,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
And then
On the next recommendation, do I have a motion?
in addition, I move that when removed from the premises of 80 Linda Lane, the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain and tethering device having a minimum tensile strength of 300 pounds and not exceeding 3 feet in length.
Second.
Further discussion? Do a vote. Bob,
Yes.
Amy,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
and Jerry's a yes.
Yeah,
as
one
well.
more.
One more motion.
In addition, I move that if the owner fails to comply with the dangerous dog orders of the select board, a first offense will be punishable by a fine of $500. A second subsequent offense shall be punishable by a fine of $1,000. The dog may also be subject to seizure and impoundment by a law enforcement or animal control officer.
Second.
Second with discussion.
Discussion. Any discussion on this?
So instead of the dog may be subject to, can we require that upon the first?
Yes, that's up to the ACO, but I was going to read the conclusion section when you're done, but basically the designation of dangerous dog gives the town the authority to pick up the dog and keep the dog. We do not have that authority until the dog is deemed dangerous. So we weren't able to, for instance, restrain the dog and send it to the Animal Rescue League for shelter until we could make a decision. That is now an option. And it doesn't have to be the first time, second time, third time. It doesn't have to be in order to that. You have made the decision. Therefore, if Emily or a police officer deem that the dog is outside without the muzzle, that's enough.
What about
What if they break free and are outside
with the muzzle?
with the muzzle, with the leash attached, not under control by the owner?
That's part of it. yeah.
That's part of it.
Part of it.
Have to be restrained.
And the motion, at least the way I read it, gives some discretion to the animal control officer. Not a lot, but a little bit of discretion of whether or not to impound the dog or whether to fine and do something, at least the way I look at it. Because the dog may be subject is what the motion says. Now you can try and amend the motion if you desire, but it gives some it gives some discretion to Emily.
Yes, that's true. But in my experience, once a dog is deemed dangerous, the next step would be impound.
Right.
Okay. All right. And so we need to vote.
So, well, yes.
Motion and second, so
There's
we
a motion, second. Any further discussion?
It's a sad life for that dog. That's all I have to say.
All right.
Well,
I know.
go,
You done?
Yeah.
All set?
let's vote.
We're ready to vote. Bob,
Yes.
Amy,
Aye.
Aye.
Jamie, Suzanne,
Yes.
Jerry's a yes. All
And in
right,
between
now,
that interim, the dog can be surrendered to the animal rescue
Oh, absolutely.
if you feel this is not a good match, giving the dog an opportunity to find an appropriate home versus impoundment.
now.
Let me go through the conclusion, I think, honestly. So the Mary Ellen, this will all be put in writing to you and you will get that within 10 days. Despite that, all the recommendations are in force immediately. Okay, so all the 3 recommendations, the 4 recommendations, those are things that you have to comply by or we can take Zook. You can appeal the decision of the board by filing a petition at the district court. I'll give you that information when we send out the orders to you. But the petition must be filed within 10 days of when you receive it. Okay, so pay attention to that. If you have any negotiations, any specific questions, if you want to talk about options for Zook, you need to talk to Emily about it. You know where my office is if you need to, but Emily is the person who can talk to you about what any options might be. And I think you should know that everybody in this room wants Zook to be successful, wants you to be successful. And you're saying no, but I disagree with you. I think they all do. And
a campaign, and I know that
the primary responsibility to protect other residents and other animals from harm, that is this board's role. Okay. Your primary responsibility is to keep him under control or to rehome him to a place where he can have a better spot. Okay. If he is, if he's loose again, we will impound him.
Let me ask you a question. What happens if he does, if I'm able to find a place for him, does he get labeled that dangerous all the way wherever he is?
The dangerous dog designation will follow Zook. I need to check with council to see if we were to rehome him and he made great progress. He is a young dog. Can we remove the designation after so much progress? I don't know, but I will definitely check that out for you.
Because that prevents people who might want to take the dog from taking him.
Yes.
All right. Hey, Jamie, did you have a question you wanted to ask Emily about things?
I think that's some.
We're all set? Okay. All right, we're concluded. With that, we'll go back to our agenda.
You guys, anyone can feel free to leave now if you were just here for the dog hearing.
You stay for the rest.
All right. We'll give you some time.
Thank you for this advice. It helped.
Thank you. We wish you well, Mary Ellen.
All right, where are we?
We're on.
Guys, I know that was hard. I'm sorry I interrupted so much.
We're now on review of budget update questions and then review of warrant articles. But, okay. All right. So we had a brief budget update from Rich before the dangerous dog hearing, and it's now time to, if you remember it, to have any questions you might want to ask Rich on the budget update.
Well, if I could just add, Jerry, I'll wrap it up real quick. So where we ended up,
Okay.
hopefully the outside scenario is total increase of $627 on the median valued home with a $52 plus or minus reduction for each 1% of an RTE. Also in your packet, I did a summary, frequently asked questions about override with a more detailed write-up, kind of explaining why we find ourselves in this position. And also included in the packet is a separate benefits allocated to each department record of what potentially our discretionary budget represents if someone desires to want to talk about what could we possibly cut to address these overrides. That's the total summary.
Thank you, Rich. I think it's
Good
important.
job, Rich.
Just to say, I think it's important to talk about that. When you said this, you said that it's sorry. That it was a level service budget. And I think that that's an important statement to keep in mind, that a lot of the services that are in place right now are things that have already been voted by town meeting. There are things that the town has already said they wanted. And so it is the goal of the board to try to maintain the will of the town while balancing cost of living increases that I know everybody is well aware have happened in the last 5-10 years that is very much out of control of the board. So I think, having that level service budget is important, and I appreciate you doing that.
Right. Yeah, and the level service budget has been the select board has asked for a level service budget for many, many years. And I do want to say, as we look, one of the overrides that Rich talked about was $1.5 million for the contracts. Is not just inflation in a sense, Jamie, which is part of it, but it's also we have to be competitive with other towns. It's just the nature of where we are in the Outer Cape that if someone needs a police officer, they may try come knocking on the door of Eastham if they can pay a lot more, and we will lose employees. And that is a major factor as we look at the contracts for employees, is that we need to keep our employees here and working. We saw in this storm how well this town works in an emergency. I mean, February was an awful month from the point of view of Eastham with the drownings, et cetera, and what the town was able to do. And it is, from my perspective, I mean, I don't like overrides, but we need to keep this team together as best we can. And that's my pitch on the contracts, which is that's a significant override, costing $100+ on the median tax, median house tax. So I agree with you, Jamie. It's inflation's part of it, but we also have to be very mindful of what the other towns are doing and because they will come and try and snatch from us if we're not paying a going wage.
Jerry, if I could just comment, as I explained to you as a board last week, just so the public hears this, when we negotiate contracts, we look at all the comparables of all our neighboring towns and beyond to get a sense of the market. And we go into negotiations and we're frank with our unions. We let them know they're not going to be the highest paid, but they're also not going to be the lowest paid. And the negotiation is about finding that sweet spot. And so these contracts put us about probably in the top third of pay in year one. But one of the things that the town gets out of our agreements is that our employees have accepted slower rates of pay increases in years 2 and 3 relative to our neighbors. So by the time the third year comes around and other towns negotiate new contracts in the intervening years, that I would expect us to be in the middle of the pack. So we're not overpaying, we're not paying the most, but we're staying competitive.
Yeah, let me just chime in on that for a sec. That statement that you made at our last meeting was why I thought this was the right numbers for these contracts. I mean, to get within the top third and then to be down in the middle of the pack, that's, I think, optimal for us.
Yeah. It's a great place to live, and hopefully it's a great place to work. Do we have any other questions? We will have a budget. There will be a budget hearing. We're going to have a joint hearing with the finance committee, and we can go through items more one by one. I do look forward to hearing from the finance committee as they go much more deeply. I can tell you, since I attend the meetings, much more deeply than others. All right.
Just hear that thing buzzing.
I know, me too.
Turn it off. I think it's the
It's the
headset.
It's the headset. Turn that. Yeah, there's a switch in that.
Thank
Just
you.
flip that off.
And we still have the budget hearing scheduled for The 23rd.
23rd.
So
23rd.
you guys want to join us?
And the FinCom is
But-
meeting weekly at this point, I believe.
Yes,
And
yes, it
you could
is.
watch past meetings if you've missed some. Rich is there, I'm sure,
Yep, so the last,
pounding the pavement every,
every week, beginning last week of January through February and last Thursday, they meet with every single department and go through every single line item. All those meetings are complete and they're all on our YouTube channel. And going forward, I guess we have one more to do with the schools on hopefully March 17th, I believe it is. But the town departments are done. They can all be viewed. And then going forward, they'll be talking about their recommendations and finalizing those.
Right. And I was at the last finance committee meeting and they were worried about, can they vote in time before we do, just so that we can see what their recommendations are on each warrant article. And so, they may be prepared to vote and give some recommendations on the 23rd. We just don't know. So that might be a longer meeting. Just a heads up. Longer than this one, yes. All right, next, anything else for Rich? Warrant, okay, we're gonna discuss the warrant articles, what you have. And I don't know whether that's you, Jackie, or,
All of them, right?
Well, we have, Rich and I have some questions for you.
all right.
So, I mean, you can look into your back row there and you can see our patient, long-suffering zoning team back there who've been sitting there the whole time. So we can try and ask some
zoning questions.
questions of zoning. But we need to decide what's going to be on the 16th and what's going to be on the 23rd. If you want, for instance, I'll read you the list. Do you want to hear about CPA or do you want us to just summarize those? Do you want the strategic planning committee to talk to or not? Do we want to have any kind of presentation on zoning or can we just have a conversation? Do you want to talk about the petitioned articles or the special legislation? So those are all the things that you can put off till the 16th or the 23rd, but they have to go in one of those buckets.
Well, since we have two individuals sitting in the back, it might be nice to at least, first of all, if we have any questions on warrant article 7, and my wife asked me, how many articles are there? Oh, there's only this many, but you look, each article has about 4 or 5 items on it, to ask some questions on that. And it might be, for me, it would be worthwhile if Paul or Mary can give us a brief explanation of what each one does. And I do have one question that popped up that I could figure out reading. What does the sign code bylaw do for the Eastham farmers market signs that we put up?
And when he says to give us a review of article, what is it, 7?
7.
Could it be from our last, because we had that big joint meeting and they took it back and they were going to look at some of the discussion, maybe in that regard? Or do you want him to go through each one?
Yeah, because Jamie, Suzanne and I all attended the joint meeting with the planning board, zoning task force and did you watch it?
I did.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily say that I fully understood what was done. But I do have that sign, the sign one, specifically on the Eastham farmers market. We had a sign, not a wavy sign, but a sign in front of the town hall all summer, and then you had the wavy signs at tea time.
It's wavy sign.
The feather
feathers.
signs.
The feathers.
Oh, yeah, feather signs, no.
And then does it apply to open flags and so forth and closed flags.
It applies, if you pass the zoning bylaw, it applies to the town. I'm sorry to take your.
No.
Well, yeah, that's correct. Although there is the option to have a exception for municipal
Oh, my God.
related.
No.
Oh,
No.
boy.
Thank you.
I don't think we should.
Thank you.
Well, I'm just saying that's
Right.
always,
That's always there, but yes, I think we all agree, no.
So it would mean no feather signs for the
No
town. to
feather
use
signs
at
at all.
The farmer's market, if
Or even
this
for
were
the
to
farmer's
pass.
right. So I will just specifically on that item, the original proposal was to allow them
Right.
with certain limitations and certain parameters. And the feedback that we got at the joint session was to prohibit them. And that makes it easier as far as how to amend the bylaw, because the other option is you got to kind of
Right.
create a place for it and a lot of
Right.
parameters around it. So prohibiting it cut out a lot of extra language that was needed. So.
All right. That answered my question.
But I don't think it applies to, you could still have an open flag.
No, it probably doesn't.
You could still have sandwich boards.
Correct. Yes. So open flags, your standard open
Flag.
flag is permitted.
But a feathered open flag would not be, because
Yeah.
it's a feather flag.
Correct.
Gotcha. Mary,
Three things on the dot.
is it on? Is the mic on?
Is it green?
Green light on?
There we go. All the signs that are now allowed on the building, sandwich boards, flags that say you're open, the permanent signs that may be out near the street, nothing changes. So none of that has changed. The issue of feathered signs came up for two reasons. One, over the last couple of years, there's been a proliferation of them. And it has raised issues about aesthetics because there has been a sensitivity in the town for what does our commercial district look like. But I think the other thing that always comes up with Route 6, and something we talked about quite a bit, is the fact that we've learned that there's a lot of regulations around Route 6 which are driven by the fact that there's a highway that runs through our town. And so whether it's curb cuts or drive-throughs or other things, there's a lot of sort of traffic mitigation. And so there was quite a bit of discussion about we don't allow digital signs or things that are visual distractions, and that these feather signs and potentially, I don't know what we call them, the mechanical arm
Yeah.
guys,
Or blow up.
the blow up things. It is not just aesthetics, but it was a safety issue that we discussed. So I just want to
Right.
clarify that.
Sorry, just not to belabor it, but I'll just add that, as Mary said, those feather flags have proliferated, but they don't fit into the sign code. So we did have some businesses that would come to take out a permit for them, whereas other businesses had, and there is nobody right or wrong because it really wasn't addressed clearly,
Right.
but it just creates the problem of they are not permanent signs, like they're not permanently in the ground, but they're also not temporary, like taking them in and out every night or having them up for a certain amount. So it's really just this extended temporary sign where they might be out all summer. And that's where we started with, how do we fit this in? Okay, they're not quite one thing or the other, but
I was just asking for clarification. I wasn't,
sorry, no,
I'm not saying that I oppose what it was, just clarification. Everybody knows. Does anybody, I mean, if the others have heard, I don't have to, because I've read this stuff and I can always call Paul, or I can harass Mary if I need to, on questions on zoning. But I figure my view, at the town meeting, we will either have a lot of questions or none on it. It's one of those. So there might be one or two that come up, but we'll see.
Just to ask questions.
Wait, go ahead. If you want to ask questions about them, this is a good time to ask.
Okay.
So we know what's up.
Yeah, go ahead. So I know one thing, you called the camper one,
Amy.
the Amy Ekman bylaw for campers. I'm really happy about that you address the campers. It's some of the other things that I'm not real excited about. The boats.
Put boats back in.
Yeah, there's boats in there.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it says storage of campers, mobile homes, trailer homes, recreational vehicles, boats, or trailers
I'm
on
sorry.
residence property.
So what that it's doing though is allowing them by right. So we're doing right now for the campers and trailers, you need a permit from the select board. We're doing away with that. And the storage of that is by right. I added boats in there for clarity. So because it's a permitted use by right.
So what you're saying is this would prohibit the storage of service-related materials or equipment, though? That is prohibited under this?
The storage containers is a separate
thing.
is a
No, if you go to 7H number 3, it says no outdoor storage of service-related materials or equipment is permitted on the provider's premise unless concealed from view of the neighbors by a concealing fence and or the use of storage trailers enclosing said materials and equipment.
right. That's intended to address the storage, I'll just say the metal storage containers, like the pod type units, not trailers, vehicle trailers. It's two separate things. So right now in the bylaw, you need a permit from the select board if you have a mobile home, a camper, a trailer. The proposal is to do away with that. So you don't need that. Right. And that would apply to boats. You can store your boat by right without a permit, but you have to meet the required setbacks, your property setbacks.
And
If
you
for
don't
some
have to
reason,
conceal it. You don't have
no.
to. Okay.
The
Even if it's
concealing-
over 6 feet?
Correct.
Okay, good.
The
Because that's what
concealing, that has to do specifically with the storage containers. I'm gonna call them containers, just as not vehicle trailers, the containers.
Shipping
metal
containers.
shipping containers.
but that's another one, right?
Right. I know it gets, because it's two separate things, but the way it's structured in the bylaw, they're linked in the warrant article because they are in the same sections.
But what if someone has a backhoe or a dump truck or isn't that service equipment? And they have to conceal it by a fence?
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's saying?
My understanding is that, Paul, they have the existing now, under the existing, if you have a container, if you're running
Not a container.
No, it says service-related materials
Or equipment. Unless concealed by a concealing fence and or use of storage trailers.
That's in the current bylaw.
that's in the current bylaw.
Oh.
For the handful of commercial enterprises that now exist in residential properties, under the current bylaw, they need to be permitted and they need to be fenced and concealed.
And so,
But that's different than the home occupancy. Or no?
Well,
Business.
essentially, if you're storing, if you are a service trade of some sort, and you're storing all this equipment at your home, ostensibly you are operating as a home occupation. And so you should be adhering to that bylaw, that if you're keeping all this equipment, it should be concealed in some way. So if you have a backhoe or a bobcat or something like that,
lobster traps.
No.
conceivably, yes.
And that's
That's
I
current?
feel like I thought this board made it clear that we did not want anything in the bylaw that made it harder for people who were laborers in this town to run their businesses because of a shortage of storage spaces on the lower and outer Cape.
So that section of the bylaw is in effect currently.
We didn't change anything. We made no changes.
Yeah, the
But I'm
underlying,
saying I thought the board made it clear that we did not want that to exist. Right?
no, I understand.
Yeah.
So maybe let me back up. So let's just discuss what is in the bylaw now. Forget any, if you have equipment on your property, it doesn't whatever you read there, it says equipment, vehicles, they're supposed to be screened in some way. That's just what's on the books now.
Anything that's not underlined, I think, is
Yeah,
already in the existing bylaw.
The article's written that anything underlined is an addition, anything
the
strike through is eliminated, but whatever's not underlined or struck through is existing.
Right. So they're adding storage trailers to this.
So it could be that someone who has a storage trailer right now, and they're, well, yeah, so the storage trailer is the thing that would be prohibited unless it was linked to someone who had a service trade on their property and they wanted to use it to put the equipment in the storage trailer. That trailer would be required to be screened in some way.
So is a storage trailer what is a storage trailer?
The shipping container.
The shipping container.
Well, the shipping container now technically the shipping container now, without any changes to the bylaw, should be screened in some way.
Okay. But so when it says a storage trailer, do you mean a shipping container?
Yes.
Okay.
Or could it also be a
I don't know.
trailer on a semi? Just sitting there without is that storage trailer?
I'm not sure what you mean.
You take the
container. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you take, yeah.
On wheels?
Yes, that would fit the definition of
a storage trailer.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So this then allows the use of one storage container for use for if you're a fisherman or a landscaper or something and you have a trade and you need to store stuff, you can have one storage container on your property, but you have to conceal it.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Can we put that in the summary and explanation? Maybe that's what a storage trailer means, because possibly there's a more common use of the word storage trailer because guys have trailers that they store stuff on.
Yeah.
And I was like, do they mean the flatbed that they put their little digget on because they're storing it and it's anyway.
I
should we
understand.
just
So
put
it's not
somewhere that
it's not vehicle trailers. It's not intended to be vehicle trailers.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel like the concealing part also makes this very complicated for.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't necessarily, like, when they went into this, I didn't think that we asked them to revisit that part of the concealing. And so it being in line with what's already in there to be concealed seems.
Yeah, so that came up after the session because it's an attempt to actually allow the the service trades to be able to keep utilizing that.
Right. Right. So the middle ground is that they need to.
But you're also simultaneously putting in a bylaw that's going to require a 12-foot setback in addition to trying to store large equipment. I just think that you're creating a very difficult situation for people by doing these things at the same time.
I think it's exactly what the current situation is though, Jamie. I mean, we just didn't change this, the setbacks. And I think there's a larger question here. I mean, there's containers that are kind of, the whole issue of containers came up because there's a whole secondary market of they call them not seaworthy containers that are being dumped on the market and sold cheaply. And so people are sort of now using them instead of sheds.
Mhm.
And there's environmental issues and there's aesthetic issues around that. So that was one category. We never touched the commercial. And the one thing I would just say about this is we didn't touch the commercial because those are the existing regulations. There's probably a half a dozen or more commercial entities that are in the residential districts right now, that are sort of there in a legacy point of view. I think if you start opening up this question, and this has come up in a couple other things, if you start opening up the question about commercial uses in residential districts, it gets to be a much bigger issue. So I'm just, in some ways, not changing the existing scenario that has been accepted by this town, and there's some legacy businesses, we sort of left that alone. But I do think if we start opening up the ability of anyone to start using residential property in commercial way, we're going to have, it require much more analysis, and I think we'll have some larger issues we'll be facing.
I see this as additive, excuse me, but if I'm looking at number 3, Jamie in particular, I had to read it a few times myself, but it's additive. Right now, it just says the existing law is that you need to be concealed by a fence. This is adding that you can also use a storage trailer.
Right.
But that has to,
Then that also has to be concealed.
It has to be concealed.
So either way, it has to be concealed, but it's permitting the use of storage trailers. So it's additive, not.
Can we permit the use of storage trailers and not require them to be concealed?
I mean, prevent them altogether?
No.
But then people are going to be like, then why do I have to conceal all of my other equipment, but not this?
Yeah.
Well, again, this
Is for residential.
kind of surfaced as people are using these trailers as sheds, and we don't have a definition of what a shed is. And it was difficult and when we get complaints about them, it was difficult to figure out what to do with them, because there were a few instances where with, lacking a definition and clarity in the bylaw, we permitted them as a shed because we didn't have a definition of a shed. So one person's garden shed is another person's storage trailer. So
Exactly.
I
I think that's the point, right? That we're trying to say is that it should not trigger the concealing, because.
So I don't think this only allows a storage container to be used by service trades, in which case, if you are not in the service trades and you have a shipping container on your property, it's a disallowed use.
Going forward. If you already have one, you need to get it permitted and you need to agree to the setbacks.
I think the board is on the fence about wanting to do that. Yeah. I don't think the board is.
So one thing I would say, another option would be, like I just said, is you treat them as a shed, as a structure. But if you were to do that, they should meet the setbacks, which would be 12 feet or the height of the container, whatever.
A shipping container kind of already looks like a fence. It's got the vertical, corrugated kind of look to it. Yeah, I don't know.
And there's some environmental issues too related to them, with the degrading of them, the metal degrading, and then there was another analysis we saw, which that interior, depending upon what they were shipping, there could be some environmental issues in terms of that. So
it is feeling a little bit like an overreach of the board. It is feeling like a little bit of an HOA, versus.
It's kind of like an anti-blight bylaw without saying it, because some people don't like the way they look. But
I think they want a tool to deal with it because it doesn't currently have a home, and they were trying to give it a home. So when people get complaints, they have something to address it.
And not everybody can afford an aesthetically pleasing shed.
So what Jamie, just to make sure I understand, what you would like is I could put a storage container on my property and use it as though it were a shed, put my lawnmower in, et cetera, et cetera? Or are we talking only about businesses here?
But I mean, I've rented them from Fraser years ago. And had it, you
But
know,
that's
for
temporary. That's different.
for 6 months sitting in.
Yeah.
Well, but nobody knew that. It was just sitting there, you know.
Okay, no, I just want to understand where everyone is on that so I can,
If I might just clarify that.
yeah.
I think if these containers were treated as sheds, I think that removes the issue of the commercial piece because it would be allowed. It's just treated as a shed. Some person's keeping their garden tools and other person's keeping their backhoe in it. I think it's
Right,
just that
right.
part gets simplified.
All right.
But again, it was lack of clarity because these containers,
Didn't fit.
they're not on a foundation. They're not on a on footings the way a shed might be. So they're kind of like, well, are they actually a structure? I mean, they're on the ground, yes, but they're used
Well,
for transportation. So it was just there wasn't a way to categorize these things.
But the question I asked was, would a tractor trailer, the trailer part, count
It's
as a
on
shed?
wheels.
That's on wheels.
Well, yeah, I think that's a different situation. Yeah, whereas it's on wheels and it's on the jack that
Right.
I think that would be considered
So we would have,
something else.
you have to relook at it all the way. I have just one thing. We'll decide where they sit. And looking at that item number 3, where you have the underline where it says unless concealed from the view of neighbors and street by a concealing fence and or the use of storage trailers. Could you put and or by the use of storage trailers? Put a by in there? Because it looks to me like instead of a fence, you just stick up a storage trailer and put your stuff behind the trailer.
Container, not a trailer.
I mean, not trailer, container, yes, sorry. Well, it says trailer here, it says trailer. here. I'm just sort of trying to see what, as written, Jamie is, let's say Jamie's satisfied, so we're not doing anything else on it. As written, to me, it says the storage trailer is a fence that you can conceal, where what you're really saying, you got to conceal it or you put it in a storage trailer. So if you added by after or, I think that would clarify it. Am I right on that? Or
Yeah,
am I reading it wrong?
No, if you want to allow the storage container to be the concealing element, then yes, we could, it could be amended to make it read that way. So you don't need to conceal the trailer. The trailer is the concealing thing. You put the equipment, you park the equipment in the trailer, and that's the end of it. You don't have to
Well,
screen the
except
trailer.
the second line says that's got to be concealed.
Well, that's what
No,
I'm
I'm
saying.
saying that your suggestion would adding what you suggested would allow that to happen.
Okay, except the way I read it.
But he's saying delete that.
It went on the way, no, I'm just not the way it's written. The way I read it, I have to conceal from view of my neighbors in the street my equipment by a concealing fence and or the use of storage trailers, which means the storage trailers substitute for the fence. And then later on in the next sentence, the storage trailer has to be concealed from view of neighbors by a fence. So I just don't, that's all. It's just grammatically and so forth. I don't understand. It's just written weird. And that's not agreeing or disagreeing with where Jamie is, or Jamie and Amy are talking. It's just looking at the way it's written, that and or the use of storage trailers is a substitute for a concealing fence.
Correct.
But the way it's written, I can just put a storage trailer there and not put anything in it and leave everything else outside behind it because the storage trailer is the fence.
We can't see past it.
Yeah, if it's
I don't know if that's
concealed from view from the public. from the
Okay.
street.
All right.
So when is the public hearing for the
18th.
8th of March?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Next Wednesday, the planning board.
Okay.
so you receive complaints about storage containers.
We have over the years.
Yeah. And there are people in town who would like storage containers.
Yes.
So I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea of people in some way concealing the storage container if that is a compromise that enables them to continue to have it. If the primary concern of some people is that they don't want to look at a storage container.
So
But
that,
Suzanne, I think in response to that, I do think that gets into the idea of aesthetic and personal opinion. If you want a street to look a certain way, move to a private street where you have rules like that. This is a town. And by right, you own your property. If I want to have a storage container on my property, I should be able to do so without having to incur the cost of putting up a fence. And by your writing, it would have to be a fence that is not of non-natural material, so it would be even more expensive. So I just feel like a lot of these regulations are going above and beyond the scope of the
Okay,
town.
good.
It's an overreach of the town. And if someone doesn't like something, that's their opinion. I don't agree or disagree. That's their opinion. They can have that. But as a town entity, I believe it's not all right to tell someone they can't have something on their property because we don't like it. And that's where I think it's a problem.
Well, I mean, all of zoning is regulation, so in
Yeah,
some
that's what
respects,
zoning is all about.
you're making those kind of decisions.
But where do you draw the line?
Well, no, and that's always the point. I think the one concern we have is that there is a proliferation of storage trailers because there is a market out there that is
I think
dumping these
proliferation is a strong word.
Containers or trailers?
containers.
Dumping
Containers.
containers.
No, it's something that's starting now. And so the question is, and some of these are not that attractive, even the ones we have in town.
Again, but it's important to recognize that's your opinion.
No, I know, but if you're living on that street and someone has a very large container in the front of their home, that is affecting your street. I mean, we spent a lot of time on design guidelines and stuff, so
Exactly.
this just seems like an extraneous kind of thing. But Bob,
Well, I just think that the whole thing with form-based code, which was the entire thrust of last year's work, I think, was all about how things look.
Well,
And
that's our
and I think
commercial district.
That's the commercial.
Right, but
Yeah, we're not
the point
talking
is
about
that-
people's homes.
Well, no, but in residential, I mean, I do think that there's you can't ignore the fact that we are addressing that. And I don't have anything against storage trailers either. I mean, I remember on the zoning board, we gave Max Seafood all kinds of latitude to put storage trailers behind it, and that was commercial as well. But the residential side of it is the trickiest part, and I think that we do have the obligation to give people the things that they can afford in this town. I mean, but I don't think that we need, well, in my own opinion is that, they don't look very good, but that's, again, I agree with Jamie that that's not something that I can control on my own property. What I could control, I think, is that we would treat them like a shed. So if it is a shed, it makes things a lot easier. It probably gives people the same thing that they wanted. It just needs to be placed in a way that it's not necessarily right up against somebody's fence. It's got to be, with a 12-foot setback or something relative to the height of the trailer. And I think that that's probably the happy medium on this.
Yeah. That's a good take on that, Bob.
So you want more discussion on this one?
No, well, I mean, it's going to come down to the public hearing and then everyone will get a chance to recommend or not recommend, and then we'll all get a chance to vote.
And
Was
Well-
scheduling of this, so should we wait till after the public hearing? And any final?
Things might change and
Yeah, that's probably a good
Well,
idea.
Right, after the what is your view after the public hearing? Will you,
I go.
everybody says something that this is awful and, or if you add this, it would be great, will you
Well-
would you, would your, listen, you guys do a ton of work, so I'm not, would you make a change before it goes to the printer? Or would you make a change and then we look at it and we'll recommend something, make a recommendation based on the changes? Or is it, this is it and we can either recommend up or
So-
down?
The way I see things, the task force is an advisory committee to the select board.
Yes.
Ultimately, this all runs through the planning board. But if I were to put the order of operations together, I think we've heard feedback from the select board that we're advisory to. And that should probably be factored into what we present to the planning board on the 18th.
All right.
So nothing's set in stone yet. This is precisely why we have this is why we have the feedback session and the public hearing, because things do change between the hearing and town meeting. That's why we have the hearing.
I would just, I don't think the task force will meet before the public hearing. So we probably, all the documents are out, so we probably wouldn't be making changes at that point.
Right.
However, I mean, and we do make changes. I mean, we've gotten feedback before and we make changes, and we in fact set a task force meeting for the day after the public hearing, just anticipating if there's something big that came up. So we could, have the public hearing, we could have our meeting, and then depending upon your schedule, when you're, whatever date you're finally voting on the warrant, we could come back.
Yeah. I guess the final is that just not saying I want it, would love to do, I don't want to do anything like, but we put the warrant forward and together, we could change the language here if we wanted to in what's going into the warrant and recommend yes or no, and then the town would vote yes or no, and the task force could say their thing, that the select board doesn't know what they're doing, or this is fine, or whatever, and the finance committee would come. So I'm just trying to figure out where the authority stuff goes. I mean, we clearly want people to see it and understand what it is, so we have to get we have to have clarity on it. But you've got some input here on what they're worried about, Suzanne.
I would say that if there is, I don't have a whole lot of interest in changing the zoning language as a board. I would be more interested in leaving it in and then voting how we vote for it in the warrant. That's why we review all of those items, is to be like, does the select board support this? Yes, no. And rather than like change the words too much to fit whatever, I would rather it be what they give us. And then if we don't like it, you'd vote no on it.
Well, I think
Right.
to try to come up with something that the board would support.
Yeah,
Ideally,
but
but
I don't want to try and write zoning regulations, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to like change like too
So,
much of this language.
again-
So I would like either them to incorporate it and it be brought back to us and we vote it up or down. I don't want to have
Yeah,
to
I
like
guess we should-
write the like,
That's a great, yes, but I just was asking where the authority is, what is possible, not what we will do. I think having me write zoning regs would be the worst thing that could happen to this town. So anyway,
I
do
think
we
the
have any more?
feedback,
Go Susan. Paul, go ahead.
the feedback from tonight, the task force is going to be able to meet between now and March 18th, the hearing, but the feedback is instructive for how we can approach the hearing with the planning board. And then after that, there'll be time to potentially amend the language based on this feedback and anything that comes up on the 18th, which is part of the process. That's anticipated that would happen.
Suzanne.
So we had a discussion about fences, and there's a lot in here. And should there have been more other than just the use of non-natural materials for a solid panel fence? We had a whole discussion, and could you just
Some of them,
is from where we had that discussion as a joint board to the
the issues with the fence.
it's 6.8 fences.
6.8, it's in 7C 6.8, section 6 prohibited uses.
What article is it? 7 what?
7C,
C.
the very bottom.
Yeah, so the items with the fences are in two different
Places.
So
Yeah, okay.
the prohibited uses addresses the materials.
Okay.
We had a lot of discussion on the setbacks, and that's the other section. So the setbacks for a fence from the street.
I think there was just some concern. The more we read into everything and the more you're requiring fencing or concealing, whether you can do that with bushes or it has to be a fence, I don't know. But then limiting the materials that someone can use, because obviously if you want something concealed and you're requiring a fence, it's going to have to be a solid panel fence, right? I don't think you want a split rail concealing something. Now you're saying if it's on a street facing side, it has to be a wood fence. And I feel like, again, this is an aesthetic choice. It's a larger cost burden on the person who has to incur the burden of putting in the fence. And again, it goes back to aesthetic. Yes, I love a cedar fence. I can choose to do that on my property if I can afford to, but I also acknowledge that not everybody can do that. And I think that by prohibiting the use of non-natural materials, again, in the end, is still an overreach of the town. As much as I like the look of a wood fence, I don't think it is the right of the town to tell someone they cannot use something because it's more affordable, because I don't like the look. I don't think it's and non-natural can also entail chain link and things like that. And so I think it becomes problematic because you're pigeonholing it into one material.
So it does say solid panel.
It was, and that was the feedback that
And
came out of
so
the workshop.
It's for street facing solid panel.
Solid panel.
So that still allows people for the street facing the street. So that would still allow people to do a black chain link fence if they wanted to at the front of their property if they needed
But
it.
that wouldn't qualify for screening.
But these are two.
No,
they're
it's not a screening issue.
They're
There's no screening.
two different. They're two different.
Kind of, but if someone's required to screen something and it's on the street facing side of their house, then it triggers these rules.
I don't know if people are putting that in the front of the street.
No, I think you're right, Jamie. If the specific situation was I needed to screen a piece of equipment or a trailer, however, then yes, that in that situation specifically, you would
trigger the non-natural fencing.
Well, but it could still be accomplished through vegetated plantings. A chain, it wouldn't, you could.
Chain link.
I mean, a chain link wouldn't do it, but you can.
Could you put vegetation with that?
For screening?
No, we
actually
we encouraged it. We didn't want to mandate it because we didn't want to impose additional expense on folks, but
that's what this does.
So this
one of the early versions said was if you were to install a solid panel, I'm just going to say vinyl for lack of non-natural vinyl, you could do that, but then you would have to put some sort of natural screening in front of it. And then the task force felt that was too cumbersome. And then now you're doing a fence and screening. So it kind of peeled back from there to address the issues with
the issue of screening is still in the commercial part of our regs. So this is for
it's totally separate.
It's separate. So this is for
residential
your front facing fence,
Right.
solid panel, assuming you don't need to conceal anything. That's what that language is intended to speak to.
Correct.
And then screening would be either handled under the commercial,
If you had a commercial trailer.
if you had a
That would-
commercial
that would
trailer.
trigger
But it would
that.
still be, this would still, this would still apply to those scenarios.
Commercial.
If you're using a fence, yeah.
You would still have to follow this.
Fence, it can't be final.
Well, I guess just the feedback, I just want to bounce back for a second. The feedback I'm hearing on the trailers, sorry, let's say container,
Container.
was that the board feels the containers don't need to be screened. You have equipment, you run a service trade out of your home property. The trailer would be sufficient. You put the things in the trailer. So if we were to go off of that, then when we get to fences, you would not need, just for sake of argument, if that were the thing, you would not need the solid panel fence to screen the trailer, whether or not it was on the street or not, street side or not. That's how that would play out in that scenario.
Just to remind folks, the impetus for this regulation came about because we began to notice in the mid and upper Cape, you can drive back country roads and literally go for a quarter of a mile with white vinyl fences that totally obscure all landscaping. And we started to look at, is this phenomena happening in Eastham? And there's only about a dozen or so places where people have built solid walls right up to the property line, and in some cases, a little bit on the public way, we think. And so there's about a dozen of these, and the bylaw does not require anyone to take any of these down. We're not mandating that. But it is, and once we started thinking about this and started driving around, it really can be quite dramatic in some towns where you lose the greenscape and you have shiny vinyl, and it's problematic. And so this was a notion of, can we get in front of this? If there's a dozen or so of these situations before the town, in all the plans speaks to the green and foliage and the environment. So, I appreciate Jamie's opinions, because we did not touch the side or the back fences. Nothing has changed there. People can do complete enclosures. We wanted to have these a bit set back. And then the issue of vinyl was more of an issue of, can we get a natural material in the front yards? So that was sort of the thought process of trying to get ahead of this before it becomes a bigger issue for the town. And it is really, once we started looking at it, it's funny. Once we started looking at it, people say, I see it everywhere, and it's happening everywhere. It just hasn't come here yet.
Another way to look at this, I think, is another way to look at this is, I think you're only trying to manage the street facing the front of the property. So that's, 1/4, essentially 1/4 of the fencing that you could put up if you were trying to fence your property. So if there is a price difference, and I'm sure there must be, it's not, I don't know if it's that significant. Let's put it that way.
Pretty significant. It is.
Well, I'm just trying, I'm stretching here. I'm reaching for, why is that a reasonable idea? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I agree with the fact that it's your property, but it's also, I don't think we want this to be, looking like, I'm not going to name a town, but I don't think we want shiny fences all up and down our streets when we drive around town. I think that there is some rationale and some credence to trying to keep the natural materials in the front of the house, because that's basically what a lot of what the strategic plan looks at is our culture, our town, just the whole vibe of Eastham is natural, environmental things like that. So I understand how you got to this point, and I'm trying to figure out if it's a reasonable request to, to let people do whatever they want for 3 of the sides and make it natural materials for the front facing portion.
Yeah, I don't know. You can look at, I think Home Depot vinyl was more expensive than some of the woods, but who knows? Whatever, it's,
Jackie,
you have the,
I know you've done a lot of work on this, and we really, really do appreciate all your work. And we're just nitpicking here, really. So,
yeah,
it's what we do.
Suzanne.
So, I'm sorry, it's been 3.5 hours, and Jackie had other decision points for us, and
Yeah, I think we
I'm
go through the
looking
public hearing.
you letting us know how the public hearing goes.
Yeah.
And seeing what other people have to say about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
About fences.
Maybe we're
inside,
outliers.
All right.
Setbacks and, yeah. So one of the questions was, did we want them to come back and give a presentation or,
Yeah,
not?
this is going to be like the clear cutting bylaw that took ages at the town meeting. So it
Yep.
probably makes some sense to us to, after the 18th and after, I guess, the 19th, because you'll have to come back, and that date.
No, they're not coming back on the 19th.
No. After the 19th, they have that's the task force meeting.
Okay.
The
So it has to be after that. So it would be the,
Channel
what are we
8
looking
cut
at?
off.
23rd.
23rd?
Mm-hmm.
It may, now it's 23rd is when we have the joint finance committee.
So we're going to do the budget hearing. We're going to ask you to vote on all the finance articles that night.
Which night is that? The 23rd.
23rd.
So the planning board has to vote whether to recommend these, things, which
And when do they meet?
That's the
that's the 18th. Now, that's why it's just,
Okay.
if we're going to make changes after the 18th, we can absolutely do that. It's just the order of operations of,
Okay.
we can come back to report to the board with the outcome of the, let me back. I know it's getting late, but the planning board could keep the hearing open on the 18th, continue it out. That would provide an opportunity to come back to this board, report on what the findings were, if there are changes that are going to happen, which there may be for a number of reasons. And we go back to the board with the planning board, that is,
So we
with,
need the warrant to go to print
April.
The 3rd.
the 3rd of
April.
April.
So the 18th, you got a public hearing, planning board. They're going to make some decision. Then what do you do on the 19th?
That's the zoning task force meeting.
What do you do what's the task force do? If the planning board has decided X, Y, Z, what does the task force do on the 19th?
it's my recommendation to the planning board on the 18th is to not close the public hearing so that the board can vote on whatever date it ends up being. The planning board can vote on a final set of recommendations that is going to take into account whatever tonight's feedback, the feedback on the 18th, and anything that comes a subsequent select board meeting.
So that's basically what will happen on the 19th. And then with the zoning task force, boy. And then it's got to go to the planning board before it comes back to us?
No.
No. Well, it would.
If there's going to be changes, the planning board should vote on whatever the final
Before we get it, before we vote, or the
After.
Usually
planning board would vote before we vote on a recommendation and before the finance committee votes on a recommendation.
I think the thing that's creating a little bit of confusion is that clearly the select board would like to see some changes. And I just want to make sure we can incorporate that in the right process so we can get.
So if you want a planning board vote, I think the long and short of it is you've got a Monday meeting potentially for March 30th. I think that's when you'd probably want to have.
Want
the
to
zoning
add
votes done.
another fifth meeting.
What, March 30th?
Yeah.
You know, I figured March 30th is probably gonna happen.
Because the budget, you don't want to do it the same night as budget. Is that what? Okay.
So the planning board is going to review this and they are going to vote on it. Possibly during their meeting, they will want some changes and they will vote on it with said changes. And then it could just come back to us.
Then they could leave it open, leave the hearing open, even though they voted.
I wouldn't have them vote. I would just.
Just leave the hearing open, not vote.
You guys could also go to the planning board meeting.
We can also go to the planning board meeting. So I don't necessarily, yeah. We could go to the planning board meeting.
And then whatever comes and we vote up or down, whether we.
Yes, because this was a process that involved the zoning task force, involved.
Right. But I guess I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. The task force is advisory to the select board. So these are the recommendations to the select board. If the select board feels that there's some changes to be made, that I would rather have that incorporated and be presented to the planning board because it's really, in a sense, it's what the select board would like to see changed in the zoning bylaw being presented to the planning board. The planning board will hold their hearing and they'll get to make their opinions on it.
Yeah, yes, I understand that we hold that power, but we had input from the planning board and the zoning board of appeals and the zoning task force. And I know it is ultimately our purview, but if there is 4 other boards and 20 other people who support the language, I'm not going to try and override it in some like major way. I'll just vote yes or no to it. I don't know. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm just trying to explain it's a little bit, the nature of the way we're doing it is a little different because normally it might be a bylaw could come from a petitioned article from the public. It could come from a staff person,
Right.
So we have a lot of weight and usually that is just going up through the planning board. This is a little different because these issues are being addressed by the task force. So we have this different flow.
Asked you to do it.
I think though, from my perspective of getting the warrant done, this isn't going to be ready with these potential changes and the hearing coming up for next week's meeting, the 16th.
No.
And we're not going to do it on the 23rd. So if you want to do this, or if you are going to do this, you would probably have to have a meeting on the 30th or some other date before that.
We could decide on the 23rd, depending on what happens with the planning board meeting.
Yes.
That
We
makes
need
sense.
to give them,
If you don't want to have a lot of discussion.
but we need to give the planning board a heads up as to whether or not to leave the hearing open and then. But the language needs to go to print in the warrant. So could we handle it in amendments to the warrant? Just the timeline of.
No.
You could.
The
I mean,
planning
it's
board
the
needs
motion.
to know.
It's the motion that is the legal vote. But in something that's as complicated as a zoning regulation that people have worked on for, I don't know, over a year, I would suggest that you either go to the planning board and let them know what you think, or Paul said he'll keep the hearing open, or you use your ability to say, I don't like this.
My advice to the planning board on the 18th is going to keep the meeting open because we actually ran into the situation last year.
Okay.
And there was an adjustment because we did have to make a motion on town meeting floor. It was just a minor thing, but I agree with Jackie. That just creates more confusion. And so we'll leave the hearing open. That gives everybody the most flexibility that we can reconvene just basically, within a 48-hour period, we can come back and address any issues, tie up loose ends that way.
I mean, you can reserve your recommendation to town meeting too, if you need to. But again, I think my opinion is the more notice we give to residents, the better. The more they can see something in writing and read it if they want to, the better.
I agree with that. I mean, this zoning, the zoning issues that we're talking about right now, the two that we're talking about are things that affect my property. So it's going to be, people are going to be very interested, and especially if someone who feels as though it dramatically hampers what they want to do with their property. So it's going to create a significant amount of discussion. And we want to make sure that we want to go as best we can to have it as smooth as laid out where we want it to be laid out, how we want it to be laid out to go before the citizenry. And so, Paul, I agree. I mean, take this stuff. We'll try and get there on the 18th. Raise the issues. Hopefully, the planning board will be aware of it, bring it forward to them as well, where the board is, and see what changes see if they can do the changes, what they recommend, and then it goes to the task force, and if said, and then if the doesn't have to be all five of us, but if the select board basically agrees, then we're all set. And we can vote on it on the 23rd.
Either way, tonight's feedback will be provided to the board on the
Thank you.
18th. So even if the board members aren't there, because
Thank you.
Right.
We're
Thank you.
good. Anything else to for Mary and or Paul? Listen, thank you. This stuff, thank you. Just thank you for being there and doing it. I'm right with Suzanne. The last thing, you put in all the work, so thank you. And we'll work the
That's
best
why we do
we
it.
can.
We need the
Yeah.
feedback to make sure
All
we
right.
get something that's
All right, Jackie, you had a few other things you wanted to.
Thanks, Mayor.
What, CPA, do we want CPA here?
Is there anything?
We have, Rich and I guess we have two things for you to consider. So we have two more meetings. We might have three, but right now we're trying to schedule the next two.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Having seen the draft warrant, is there information that you want us to get for you or to bring before you or to arrange for someone to talk to you? And I forgot to ask you, does the strategic planning committee want to come on the 16th?
I talked with the chair and think at this point, it's up to the select board if they want that or not.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
The CPA articles were all
pretty
unanimous. They're pretty straightforward, unanimous by the CPC. So unless you have specific questions, maybe you could just let us know and we can get those answers for you.
And not the specific CPA, but the special legislation, I think, not for us necessarily, but for the public, I think we really, about changing the CPA.
Oh, how much we,
So if I could just have just a couple minutes.
Yes.
I wanted to summarize Article 4, the components of that, that's in. So I just want to make sure you understood it prior to that, because, we'll be asking you to vote this maybe at the budget hearing. So 4A is other appropriations outside the capital and operating budgets. So there's a list. Most of them are pretty typical. Funding of reserves, but when we did our budget presentation, we indicated we wanted to keep pushing our housing program. So there's an amount of money for that and a few smaller items. PFAS testing, I don't know how much we've talked to you about that, but there's some testing that has to happen around the landfill and monitoring. Adopting 4B is adopting the wastewater infrastructure fund, and I'll tweak this at the last minute when I know more, but right now we're looking for a 1.25% add and a 1.25% reduction in Article 4C, the CPA fund. And I believe we have the vote from CPC on that, and the FinCom is to come, I believe.
So.
But that would be easy to talk about on the 23rd.
Yes.
Yeah. But on 4C, the Community Preservation Committee agrees to go from 3 to 1.75?
Yes.
They voted to do that.
Okay, I mean, it's just, it's not there in the recommendation. I just was.
Have to get it in, yeah. 4D is new because we want to consolidate our water enterprise and our wastewater enterprise into one water resources. It gives us a lot of benefits. It's just ease of budgeting and accounting. Is the main reason, and the utilization of retained earnings between the two as we need to gives us some flexibility. But it's a little odd because we starting a new one, but still keeping the old water enterprise. And there's some reasons for that, mechanical reasons for reporting to the state. But the easy, simple thing is going forward, we want to have a water resources enterprise fund, and in future years, we'll eliminate the old enterprise funds. And everything will be accounted for in there. And I also meant to say under 4B and C, there's an oddity. CPA requires a 35-day notice from a town meeting vote to the electorate. We don't have 35 days between town meeting and our election. So both of those, adopting the WIF and modifying the CPA, require a ballot vote. We won't be able to have that ballot vote in May because we won't have 35 days. So we checked with Linda. It looks like we'll have it in September when there's a primary election. We'll just have a local ballot. So not immediately after town meeting, but not too far away. A couple other little things. Not in 4D yet, but in the packet that we gave you tonight for the budget update, earlier this afternoon, I asked Erica. So if you look to your packet, you see there's a one-pager. We wanted to give you the option that we'll talk about at the budget hearing of adding some higher priority requests that we did not include in the operating budget. I went through a bunch of items that were not in the budget, but we have a list of things that perhaps you'll want to consider. And so funding a COA program position, funding a recreation department program position, expanding the online permitting, and increasing the funding to the preschool tuition program. If we were to do those would be Article 4E in a list that people could approve at town meeting, one or some or none of them. And they would each be a separate question subject to Proposition 2.5, a ballot question. And then finally, if you look at the election warrant in the front of the warrant, we have right now one question. All the overrides we talked about for the base budget, the school, and collective bargaining would be one override question, but with the amounts itemized within it. And then if we had these extra that the select board wanted to support or town meeting want to support, each of these extras would be their own individual questions.
You don't.
No, not much more. I can't go much later. I'm just letting everybody know.
Like
I'm
that,
reaching my
some
limit.
of that is too complicated for tonight.
Yeah.
Just know that we're gonna ask you, do you want to add some stuff to the warrant and to the override?
Right.
Okay.
It all seems downhill after, I mean, not downhill in a bad way, in a coast way after that dog hearing, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do have the 23rd, so you have the
Yeah.
Right.
23rd. If we get the packet out to you early, maybe we can get more financial explanations.
Well, I just want to tell you now, just to give you a heads up. I didn't want to get into it. I just wanted to let you know.
Yep.
Well. Can you give us the HERO Act? Remember, we did have something on that a while ago about.
It's in there.
It's
It
in there.
is,
Yeah,
but
I read that.
it just says the cost of living. But what is the HERO Act actually says you can go up to a certain amount?
Specific formula, isn't it?
Well, I can clarify it. We'll get information. From
Yeah, we had something I remember before, and it showed how much it is now. Like they're 500. I think some could go to 1,000 and different.
Right.
Rather than the cost, the COLA. I just wanted to be clear on what
What it actually represented.
exactly.
We can put that in the summary, right? So we expect it to cost X number of dollars
That'd be great.
in additional.
All right.
So we're not gonna do zoning on the 16th.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Rich and I are gonna decide what goes on the 16th. How's that?
Second.
All the votes.
No, discussion.
And if there's something else you want,
Lost Bob.
we'll figure it out.
Bob gone?
Yeah, call
I
the
think
vote.
Bob's gone.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.